Welcome to our final day of Redzone coverage of the 2021 ITA Kickoff Weekend. What an opening weekend of college tennis for all of us fans out there. And we are so appreciative of all of you who took the time to join us here throughout the course of the weekend. Of course, we still have one match left to go. It's a battle out in LA between two teams oh so familiar with one another. We get to see the USC Trojans take on their rivals, the UCLA Bruins, with a spot in the final eight of the ITA National Indoors on the line. Always a pleasure when we get this sort of battle this early in the season. And joining me to break down that match and talk about some of the other news going on right now throughout the college tennis world. You know him as the of the college tennis ranks formula predictions, never far from the listed UTR, one of the many dames who roots for the Liberty Flames and the only man crazy enough to join me for 4 straight days of college tennis coverage. It's Chris Halioris. Chris, one match left to go. How are you feeling at this stage of the event?
I mean, we can see the finish line. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Actually, I'm not all that excited there's light at the end of the tunnel. I want a continuous tunnel. Let's just keep going.
It feels like it's always USC at the end of that tunnel, right? We're always stuck talking about the Trojans come the end of the event. That's just how Coach Macy likes it. But yeah, it was a phenomenal opening weekend of college tennis. And we want to talk a little bit here about those results. We want to talk about some of the other news going on. But a quick update for all of you before we do that. The Cal UNLV match going the distance. Now, it ended about 20 minutes ago. So we think, emphasis on think, the USC match should start about 6 p.m. East Coast, 3 p.m. West Coast time. We will keep you all up to date as we learn more information about that start time. But before that action gets going, Chris and I figured we've delayed this long enough. We'll hop on the stream, talk a little bit about some of the action we have seen unfold. But before we talk about any of the play, Chris, we have to talk about a breaking news development we have here. And we had heard inklings of it from a couple of different sources. We now have confirmation Botzer will not be playing a dual match for Wake Forest this season. Now, Botzer graduated from Wake Forest in the fall and still has 2 years of eligibility remaining, but he will save those 2 years for the future, try and figure out his plans moving forward. He will not be playing this year in the dual match season. Chris, your reaction to that news?
My first reaction, of course, has to be the joke that, my gosh, if we get one more like COVID year, he could be 30 and still playing college tennis. But besides that, all kidding aside, huge loss for Wake Forest. We know they're deep. We were really high on them in our preseason poll because they're deep. But they're deep from the perspective of you could take out anybody that was one of the, 3 or 4 through 12 guys and say, yeah, whatever, we have a bunch of those. We can replace them with anyone we want. But to take out either Barr or Henry Squire is a big hit for that team. So that's tough. Now you assume, obviously, I had said I thought Squire was going to be 1 to begin with and Barr 2, and you guys, disagreed with me. Obviously, Henry's 1 now. Now the real question is, who's 2? There's not, what I would call a legit 2 on that team. So it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. They're still going to be plenty good in the 4 through 6 range. They've got a million guys that are going to be good there, but it's going to make them very, very susceptible at 2 and 3 for sure.
Mm-hmm. And look, it's easy to make that joke as you did. Of course, for Barr, he wants to figure out his future. We can all understand that. We all look forward to seeing him compete in college tennis once again. But, we got to give him space to do what he's got to do. Certainly for this Wake Forest team, as you mentioned, 9, 10, 11 guys who you could all justify earning spots in the lineup. What this does, okay, Squire, probably a lock in the lineup at this point. You're going to need his pop at the top. Banthia with his performance this weekend, Nava with his performance this weekend, they probably earned spots in there as well, right? They're probably going to be amongst the 6. And I know you'll quibble with the Banthia comment. We'll get there in a second. But now you have Body. Now you have the freshman. Kungu wasn't great this weekend. Obviously, Maciak didn't have the best of weekends. If Stoffalou was a mess this weekend. A lot of interesting lineup decisions for Coach Bresky, that are now probably even more important, given that you don't have the margin for error. I said this in our podcast in the build-up to the season. Give me Botzer. I don't care where you're putting him in the lineup. 6 obviously would be ideal, but even if he's my number one singles player, I feel good rolling the balls out and letting him go compete, because he's a guy who's clinched and played in a national championship team match. And so, you just can't replace that if you're the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Now, again, I think this, Body was what, 3 singles for them last year. Does he slide back in there when he's back in the lineup? I don't know now, but it's really interesting, Chris.
Very interesting. I mean, I don't think there's, in my mind, and even with what we saw this weekend, I don't think there's any question at this point. If you were going out, and they're going to turn around here very, very soon and play Virginia. There's no question in my mind that makes Eduardo Nava number 2. He's got to be the number 2 guy. Yeah, we can quibble over Banthia. Banthia played 2 this weekend, but they were missing a whole bunch of other guys. But the real issue is, as you said, Melios was a disaster. Now, obviously we never want to wish anybody sickness on anyone. I can only hope that maybe he had fallen ill and was just recovering and coming back, but he didn't have a good weekend at all. So hopefully that was just, hey, rough weekend, I'm just getting back to it. But they're going to need him. He was the 3 guy last year, right? They need him to be back there this year. If they can get him in good form at 3, then sure. Now you've got your 2 freshmen, you've got Sid Banthia, you've got Kungu. Masiag didn't, I don't know how long that's going to last. You still got Yuval Solomon. I'm sure I'm leaving a whole bunch of other guys out too, but yeah, there are plenty of options. 4 through 6, Tony will find guys that can play 4 through 6 with, the best of them out there. It's really those top 3 that you got. And I'm not worried if Squires won. I'm not worried there. It's 2 and 3 that I get worried about.
Mm-hmm. No, look, again, anytime you lose someone of Botzer's caliber, that is a huge loss. And I think coming into this season, we had 5 locks for top 8 seeds going into NCAAs. And by the way, the NCAA tournament, just a reminder for all of you, used to be a final 16 site. Now the round of 16 played at home. We imagine that's going to be the case for this year, although Tim Russell perhaps indicating it might be a different format. We'll find out. But coming into the season, we probably had 5 locks for those top 8 seeds: UNC, USC, Baylor, Ohio State, Wake Forest. We thought pencil them in as 5 locks. Now, after what we saw this weekend and with the scheduling difficulties Ohio State will now have to overcome, do you knock them out of a guaranteed top 8 seed? Maybe. Obviously, with Wake Forest losing Botzer, do you knock them out of a guaranteed top 8 seed? Probably. And now things really start to open up if you're a team like a Tennessee or a Virginia, or honestly, the teams like the Michigans, the A&Ms, the TCUs of the world, who are still Florida, despite their loss to Texas. And Texas is another good one to throw in the mix. There are a lot more openings, it feels like, in the rankings. And obviously, once the balls are rolled out, that will always be the case. But it really did feel like we had 5 schools and then everyone else still really good, but everyone else chasing. Now, I probably only feel confident. I still think Baylor's really, really good. But from what we've seen this weekend, USC, and they still have 1 more to go. Even UNC didn't look great against South Carolina, but you imagine that talent works out, and they played without Rinky this weekend. So UNC, USC, I still put Baylor in there, but then it's a wide open competition for the other 5 spots.
Yeah, the unknown to me, I'm with you on making Ohio State questionable, only because they would be a lock if they could play a normal schedule. They'd still be fine. But now that they don't get to play a normal schedule and they play only Big Ten teams, and Michigan also, took the loss, not great, not great for their resume. The team that I think along with them that becomes the question mark is Stanford. I would put Stanford in what should be a lock for a top 8, but they're going to be probably somewhat in that same scenario of, what's the schedule look like there? There is no schedule yet. They're not even playing. When do they start? Is there going to be another delay? Lots of questions there. So I think if they get going, that's a team that we've all kind of got penciled as that's probably one of our lock teams.
No, that's a really good perspective. I forgot to throw them in the mix as well. Yeah, I mean, certainly when you're playing a season amidst a pandemic, weird things are going to happen, but we expected the weird things to be off of the court, not on it, and we certainly got some strange results on the court thus far. Let's talk about them a little bit. Let's start with the region that finished up today. North Carolina victories to advance over Northwestern 4-0, and then today South Carolina 4-1. Again, they played this weekend without their number 3 listed at number 2 to start the weekend, singles player Rinky Hijikata, the talented sophomore who again was playing Australian Open qualifying just in January, just this month. They were without him, but still, they dropped a couple of sets at the bottom of the lineup against Northwestern. Today against South Carolina, they lose the number 5 singles match. And, Peck had come back at number 4, but he had lost the first set. Blumberg lost the first set, although he was up a break 5-3 in the second. They weren't the lights out, we're beating everyone 4-0 team that they were to start last season. Again, it was without Hijikata, but your thoughts on the Tar Heels and in general, the Carolina region?
Yeah, I think it was number 6 that they lost today, not 5. Sondergaard.
You're right. Sondergaard was 5.
But I mean, my first general thought was, yes, there's no Rinky, but even with Rinky, all that did was mean that they had 2 guys. We kind of knew top 4 we think are solid, the top 3 plus Cernak, right? And then you go, hey, and Peck's going to be 5. But once they pulled one of those 3 guys and slid Peck up to 4, now you've got 5 and 6 being kind of what's normally going to be your musical chairs for 6 position. Now you're playing 2 people in there, and none of it looked outstanding to me. They lose both first sets in those positions to Northwestern. They lose a match in one of those spots today. All in all, what that tells me, not the depth that some of these other teams have. You may not need it because you only have to play 6 guys. And as long as they keep all 6 guys, they keep the top 5 guys, let's say, healthy, probably okay. But in a crazy year like this, everybody's anticipating needing some depth at some point. That's probably the only concerning part we come out of here with. They didn't look great, but again, no Rinky. Will drops a set, big deal. He was coming, he turned it around. He's fine. It's really the bottom of the lineup. So the question, they tried Logan Zapp yesterday, so we got to see a little Logan Zapp. Today it was Kiger and Sondergaard, or Sondergaard and Kiger in that order for 5-6. I think we're going to see a lot of that. When it's a full lineup, it'll just be the 6th spot they're doing that with. But I think we're going to see a lot of different guys getting their shot in that spot. And Coach Paul's going to have to find the one that's working. And I don't think any of them right now particularly are working that well.
Yeah, well, look, you got to find 4 points to beat Carolina. It doesn't look like it's going to be in doubles. They have 2 top 10 teams, Blumberg and Cernak, picking up where they left things off last season. Kiger, Sondergaard, so comfortable together. And then, of course, at the number 3 position, eventually you'll have Seguin and Hijikata. And to have that at 3 doubles, that's a luxury any coach would sign up for right now. The thing is, okay, let's say you steal doubles against them. Now you still need to find 3 more points. During this season, we talked about it in our preview podcast, you probably have to have 5 and 6. But then after that, it's can you steal 1? Or if you lose the doubles point, can you steal 2 of the top 4? With the way Brian Cernak looks to start this season, with the way Ben Seguin played this week, and of course, we know how well Ring playing, and then no one's Blumberg at 1. Still probably the toughest question in college of all of college tennis to answer this year is how do you find 4 points against the UNC men? Nothing happened this weekend to make me think it's that much easier, but I will say, as it was confirmed, you're going to have to beat them at the bottom of the lineup. And there are a couple of teams that are somewhat well positioned to do that. Now, I do want to mention one more thing about the Carolina region, because we saw today Northwestern get a really good win over Duke, and obviously our guy, Cracked Racket's own Presley Thieneman, getting his first college tennis win at the number 6 singles positions. Shout out to you, Presley. But that's a huge win, Chris, for the Big Ten that was in need of some victories after this kickoff weekend. Michigan didn't get to play Pepperdine. Ohio State losing, obviously, to Virginia. Unfortunately, Iowa, if you're a Big Ten fan, losing to Middle Tennessee. This was a much needed one. And honestly, given the Wildcats didn't have Steve Foreman this weekend either, I think this Northwestern team is going to be a factor in the Big Ten. Not necessarily win it, but certainly on the wrong day, could they Michigan, Illinois, or Ohio State? Why not?
They're definitely and I think we'd mentioned this before. You've got Ohio State and Michigan, Illinois and Northwestern, but are kind of that's the next two. They're right there. There's a little bit of a drop after that, but Northwestern clearly was, even coming into this before that match, had them at a little level above the next group of teams. They certainly did nothing to dissuade that opinion. They looked absolutely fantastic. And honestly, Duke, between the beating from South Carolina and then the beating from Northwestern, for a team that looked really good the weekend prior, just a poor weekend for them. But yeah, Northwestern, I think absolutely they're right in there in that Big Ten mix. And like you said, no Foreman, add that to what they had. Wow. I mean, that could be a really good team.
So we had a question from Scott Bancall, and I apologize if I butchered your pronunciation of your last name. Welcome back to the chat, Scott. It's been great to be with you all weekend. Who asked, would it shock y'all if Big Ten doesn't get any team in the Elite Eight or Sweet 16? And I know, that's an easy reaction to have following the loss from Ohio State, following the loss by Michigan this weekend. Your thoughts, Chris? Does the Big Ten get, if I put the over under at 0.5, I think you're taking the over, right?
On the 8, obviously.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on the Elite Eight. I mean, the question about would it shock me if the Big Ten had nobody in the Sweet 16? Totally. I'll lay 10-1. They have a team in the Sweet 16. I mean,
give you 100-1. I mean, if one of Ohio State or Michigan doesn't make the Sweet 16, then yes, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and then I'll say, and if they don't, it's because somebody like Illinois knocked them down or something, and it's one of the or Northwestern, they're going to have a Sweet 16 team. The question would be, what would the money line be on 1.5, and you still got to take the over.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no chance, barring something out of their control, like the Big Ten says, sorry guys, you can't play, right? I mean, obviously nothing you can do about it then, but if they get a season in and they're in the NCAA tournament, there will be a Big Ten team or two in the Sweet 16, even if not more.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. And I feel like that was a tacit implying that Michigan is indeed a top 16 team. And I feel like that's a big concession from you, Chris. So I'm proud of you for making that concession. Well done. That's a step forward for us, certainly. But no, I mean, again, just quickly here, we've talked so much about all the action that went down in Columbus, what happened in Raleigh over the first couple of days. And we talked yesterday a lot about what happened in Austin. Let's talk a little bit about Fort Worth, because we saw TCU. Again, they didn't get the challenge from Wake Forest we were hoping they would. But, Chris, they're deep. They have options 1 through 6. They have options for different doubles pairings. If you're Coach Roditi, given, again, all the uncertainties of this season, you have to feel really good about the momentum your team has. And honestly, you should make the semifinals of this national indoors.
No doubt. I mean, you have to be thinking that, right? I mean, TCU, they looked really good. We still didn't even see, we didn't see Paralek and Fernley in singles. We didn't see Fernley at all. So that's probably, that may not happen, right? But yeah, they've got guys, and I mean, unfortunately, there was no stream and we didn't get to watch. And I know in that Oklahoma final, I've seen that team many times. A guy like Jake Van Emberg is a great indoor player. The fact that Sander Jong went out and beat him 3-3 indoors tells me, yeah, he's on his game. They come out and, they just put it to Oklahoma really fast. So I think they're very, very well positioned. If Fernley's not able to go, it takes a little bit of that depth away, right? And they got to play Juan Martin both days. Not really sure why Paralek wasn't playing singles. Maybe he's just not on form. Maybe Coach Roditi thinks Martin's the better option at this point because he was playing doubles, so he was at least there and playing. But yeah, that just means they've got more options. Super deep team, absolutely. That's one of the teams that you have to think is looking at trying to get a semifinal spot.
Mm-hmm. And, the top three of Gray, Famba, and Jong, that's not as sexy as, say, a top three of Kucherman, Smith, and Dostanic, or Blumberg, Cernak, and Hijikata, but it'll get the job done. In quite a few matches, they're going to compete in all 6 flights. And that's all you can ask for as a coach is give me multiple recipes to getting 2-4 points in each and every match. Now, again, we are waiting for confirmation for a start time. 3:15. We have it officially from
Coach Macy just texted in.
What a great man, Coach Macy gives us that information right away. So 3:15, which means a 6:15 start for us here. So we will be back around 6:05, we'll say, to start the stream and start our preview of that USC UCLA match. But Chris, one final question for you, because again, we have all of you who took the time to watch this pregame show, to ask us questions, to hop on comments. And yes, I saw you, Coach Burgess. I apologize for slandering the Big Ten in that way. I'm a Big Ten guy through and through. So, Chris's slander of the Big Ten, you can just throw that out. I'm assuming Westoff muted it all so that it wouldn't become public. But no, appreciate all of your hard work. And obviously, with the Iowa program through and through this season. But final question for you, Chris, and this comes from Dakota Fuller, and it's a question directed to you because you are our SEC correspondent. And one of the big takeaways this weekend, of course, Tennessee, the SEC team that has firmly advanced to the National Indoor Finals. We don't yet know about Texas A&M and Baylor, and we'll talk about that more during the SC match. But Dakota asks, who would you guys say out of the SEC has the best chance to make a big run at the NCAA team championships? This is a great question, Dakota. Chris, you have the floor.
If you're going to force me to pick one team right now, it's Texas A&M.
You could give us the, I wanted to say the stratospheres, but I guess that works. The stratospheres of the SEC.
There's four teams sitting at top of the SEC. I mean, and I don't think it goes any further than that when we're talking a deep run, and that's Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. It's those four. When you look at what some of those teams have, Tennessee's playing some guys at 2 and 3 that against the big teams are, potentially a little undermanned there. So it's going to be tough for them, but they're really, really deep and they're going to play with everybody at 4 through 6 down there. I don't know that they're going to make the deep run. I think for them, a quarterfinal run is probably the really good run. Florida gets a little concerning just from everything we've seen from them this weekend. So I think you say probably not the best equipped. Georgia, we haven't got to see a lot of because they weren't able to participate in the kickoff weekend. They did play a match with Florida State over the weekend. Not the best Florida State team we've seen in the past several years. So I won't make a lot of it, but Georgia did their job. They beat everybody and they looked really good. So those guys I think are capable, but I think the team best equipped as of right now, especially when we consider it's going, even if A&M's the team at indoors, and then they go to indoors and go 1 and 2, and you go, Chris, you said they were best equipped. Guess what? If A&M goes to indoors, 1 and 2 is a pretty much average year for them indoors. Even if go listen to our pod with Coach Denton, A&M's not good indoors. Okay, he said if he made his living indoors, he'd have been fired a long time ago. Those were his words, not ours. So they're probably not the best indoor team, but the good news is NCAA's is outdoors. So I think right now that's the team I say best equipped to make the deep run in the NCAA tournament from the SEC.
I think if you're an SEC fan, SEC men's tennis should say, the victory for you is if you get one of the teams in your conference to make the Final Four. Right? If one of A&M, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee wins and earns an upset of a top 4 seed, ends up in that semifinals, because I don't think any of us right now currently see an SEC team, except for maybe Texas A&M, depending on how the national indoors in their regular season would go, ending up in as a top 4 seed. If one of them ends up in the semifinals, it was the conference. And look, there are a lot of really good teams. Under a normal year, Georgia would be a team we're all circling as, hey, if it's not this year, maybe it's next year for them as national champions. Florida has been on our minds for these past 3-4 seasons. We know what they're capable of. The top three of Texas A&M can sweep any lineup in the country. And then, of course, we saw what the depth of Tennessee can do. So all of these teams are really, really good. And again, Sweet 16, ITA quarterfinals, it's in play for all four of those top schools. Now, the South Carolinas of the world, the Alabamas of the world, they're a little bit off that track. If any of them end up in the Sweet 16, that's a victory for that program this season. But those top four teams should advance. They should all probably be hosting round of 16 regions, or excuse me, round of 64 regions, Chris, right? They should probably get the 2 match at home if you are all four of those schools.
Yeah, I would think all four of those teams should be top 16 for absolutely.
If I said one of them isn't going to end up as a top 16, who would you pick right now? Because I think we're both going to say the same school, and it's nonsense to think that.
As of right now, I guess I'd have to say Georgia, just because they didn't even get to play.
That's interesting. I would say maybe Florida. I'd say that's the school right now who you're like, are they like, with what we saw this weekend? I mean, with Georgia, they have the benefit of being unknown, right? Like the Tennessee, there was just a confidence to that Tennessee team. And we didn't get to watch Florida play, but look at all of those third sets. Bicknell 5-2 becomes 5-4, and just Riffis and all of the different matches Florida has played over the past few seasons. I mean, again, I think all of these teams are top 16 schools, but I do think they'll beat up on each other.
That I fully expect that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we've done this though the past couple years where Florida, we get high on them. They don't look great early, but then they get their rhythm. And I think that they'll be fine. There's no chance that they're not top 16 with what they've got. I think, I just haven't seen enough Georgia yet. I've seen enough Tennessee to say, yeah, for sure, they're there. Seen enough A&M, seen enough Florida. I think, I mean, if you make me bet, I'm betting, 5-10-1 that Georgia's in there. But if you're going to make me pick one that, it doesn't make it, I say right now, okay, maybe them, just because I haven't seen enough.
And you know this, but the month of February is going to become the Great Shot podcast is going to become a Play Lucas Greif podcast, just exclusively. That is going to be our one cause, is just to get Lucas Greif out on the court. But again, we are going to be back here covering this match starting 6:15 East Coast time, 3:15 on the West Coast. We'll come back around 6:05/3:05, whichever time zone you are in. In the meantime, you're going to get to hear my summary of ITF action, both the men's and the women's side, which we recorded as our deciding point, a weekly show we host here on our Cracked Racquets YouTube channel. If you want to see more content like that, maybe you want to go rewatch some of our college contenders episodes where we previewed some of the top schools in the country. And right now, you're going to see previews from USC and Stanford. I ask that you go hit that subscribe button on our Cracked Racquets YouTube channel. It'll mean the world to super producer Daniel Westoff. Go like all of them. Throw a comment on there, even if it's a criticism of my fashion, even if it's like, what is this green screen in the background? Is that just what you live in green? And yeah, I do. Get over it. I live in the green. But anyways, of course, we would appreciate if all of you can subscribe, review all of the content as always, and you can check it all out at the website, crackedrackets.com. But again, we will be back 6:05/3:05 for the start of this USC UCLA thriller. But for now, for Chris Halliors, for super producer Daniel Westoff, and all of us here at Cracked Racquets, I am your host, Alex Gruskin. We will be back with our final day of coverage of our Redzone coverage of the 2021 ITA Kickoff Weekend. We hope you all will be joining us when we do, and we'll see you a little bit later. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to The Deciding Point, our Cracked Racquets weekly breakdown of the biggest storylines going on throughout the tennis world. It's going to be a college tennis-themed edition of the show, as our team had the extraordinary opportunity to cover this weekend's ITA kickoff action up close with our CR Redzone coverage. Hopefully, all of you viewers got the chance to watch some of that action unfold, and if you missed any of it, you can find the replays on our YouTube channel. But I want to give some of my biggest takeaways from the event. We'll talk about some of the upsets upsets we saw, talk about our most impressive performers, and then, of course, I have a deciding point for all of you. My biggest takeaway from the weekend that I think will impact the 2021 season throughout the course of the year. With that in mind, Westoff, give me those credits, and let's start today's show. Let's start with some of the upsets we saw unfold on the women's side, and rarely do we ever see a top seed fall during the ITA Kickoff Weekend, in particular fall in their very first match. That's exactly what happened in Raleigh as the NC State women fall to Northwestern. Was an incredible performance from the Wildcats. They take the doubles and then earn 3 straight set singles wins over NC State. Now, NC State prides themselves on their top 4 in singles, and they ended up getting 3 wins from those top 4 positions, but because they lost that doubles point, they had a slimmer margin for error. Northwestern, their depth wins the day. They get the win at 5-6, a really impressive 0-1 win at the number 3 singles position. Northwestern, always a team that is in the mix, but we may have to take them even more seriously this season as they get the big win over the Wolfpack to advance to the region's final. Of course, we also saw, I don't want to say quite an upset, but certainly Duke was the favorite heading into Georgia Tech as they faced the Yellow Jackets in the region final, but credit to Georgia Tech, 7-6 in the third victory for them to clinch a 4-3 win over their ACC conference rival and for them to advance to the national indoors. And that's a really impressive result for the Yellow Jackets because I think all 6 of Duke's players currently ranked by the ITA in the ITA preseason top 125 in singles, if not all 6, certainly 4 or 5 of the 6 players. And look, Georgia Tech has a very deep lineup as well, but did not expect them to knock off the Blue Devils early on. Those are 2 really impressive wins for both of these teams, obviously in Northwestern and Georgia Tech. And if you're an ACC conference member, you see the Wolfpack, you see the Blue Devils going down this early in the season, could be a really, really fun conference to monitor throughout 2021. Let's flip gears now and talk a little bit about the upsets we saw on the men's side. Obviously, it is always a notable moment when the Ohio State Buckeyes lose a home match in Columbus. That's exactly what happened as they fall to the University of Virginia. And I'll talk about Virginia a little bit later. But for the Buckeyes, a lot of lineup questions for Coach Tucker and his team. Certainly, Kingsley McNally at the top of the lineup. That's going to make sense for them all season. Kyle Seelig, he's going to be playing 3 or 4. You can lock that in now. But the other positions, J.J. Tracy, definitely that 4th guy, but between Trotter, Cash, Mercer, Luchung, what does Coach Tucker want to do in his singles, but perhaps even more importantly, his doubles lineup? They dropped that doubles point at home to Virginia. None of us saw that coming, and certainly Virginia is going to have some success this season, but they were playing 3 freshmen in Columbus, and that's a match the Buckeyes win 99 out of 100 times. They've only lost twice at home, obviously, over the past, 16 seasons. So a lot of soul searching to do in Columbus. Similarly, what's going on in Gainesville was a sloppy start to the Gators season. And look, you lose a 4-3 match at Texas. That's never something to be too upset about, but it's the way they lost that match. After struggling in doubles, they win the doubles point, but only get 2 singles victories for a team that prides itself on its singles depth. That's just not going to be good enough. And look, if you have Sam Riffis playing the clinching match, a 3rd set at the number 2 singles position, you take that every time if you're Coach Shelton. And look, Sam wasn't able to come through in this moment. That happens, but expected to see the Gators in the Final 8. That's not going to be the case as Texas plays a really good weekend of tennis, knocks them off 4-3 to advance. And look, it's a really young Texas team. This is a team 2-3 seasons from now, probably we're going to be talking about as a national title contender. For them to have this sort of success already bodes really well for Coach Burke and the program in Austin. And then the last upset, the only other host site to go down, not technically an upset, but Tennessee knocking off NC State in Raleigh. The depth the Volunteers have, they were really good last season quietly. 14-2 losses only to Columbia and at Georgia 4-3. This team has made the case that it's a Power 4 in the SEC conference, that they belong in the conversation with Florida, with A&M, with Georgia, and it's going to be really fun to watch this veteran Tennessee team continue to succeed throughout this 2021 season. Now that we've talked about the upsets, let's look at some of our other most impressive performers on the weekend. I think in Division I women's tennis, we have as strong of a top 4 as maybe we have this entire decade, maybe even this entire century. You look at what the UNC women are able to put together. They have ranked players sitting on their bench. They have a former #1 singles player in the country in McKenna Jones, who's going to legitimately either play 5 or 6 singles or maybe not crack the lineup for Coach Calbus. And that is crazy to think that with the depth that team brings back and how dominant they were to start last season, they may not be the best team in the country. You look at some of the other foes they're going to have to overcome, all teams who had strong weekends as well. Texas, 4-0 win over Baylor. They look dominant, and bringing in Peyton Stearns, having Tarati still at the top of their lineup, the depth they present, they're going to be a really tough out all season long. Of course, the highest team by UTR is Pepperdine, who brought over Shiori Fukuda from Ohio State, who brings back Ashley Leahy, Jessica Faila. This team, Imachkan, I think, is the highest UTR, even though she's going to play 5 or 6 for them. That team is absolutely loaded. And then, of course, you have the UCLA Bruins, who played UNC as close as anyone in the country and who have a top 3 in Forbes and Bolton and Jada Hart that if you asked any coach in the country, you can sign up for that top 3 right now, they would say yes. And so I just think in the strength at the top of the lineup for these 4 schools, we are going to see some absolute battles, folks. And I mean, look, UNC dropped, I think, 16 games in total during one of their matches this weekend. Not like a set, not like a match. 16 games total between their 6 singles flights. I don't think anyone lost more than 3 games. That's ridiculous, and they're probably still my favorite given the veteran, given that they have so many seniors at the top of the lineup, the experience they've all had. But we are in for a treat this year in terms of the quality of play we are going to see in women's tennis. All of that was reflected in the results we saw this weekend. Now let's talk a little bit about some of our men's most impressive performances. TCU, all business down in Fort Worth. And yes, they didn't end up facing Wake Forest, who was down 5 of their top 6 players this weekend, and more on that story in a Great Shot podcast we'll have later this week. But look, they didn't drop a point all weekend long. They won the doubles point. They won their singles matches. Their depth shined through as it has these past 6 months of competition for Coach Roditi. It was really impressive for TCU to advance to the national indoors. Of course, you look at Baylor, they still hopefully are going to get to play their match against Texas A&M, but to go on the road, beat a top 10 Michigan team 4-0, win that doubles point, win the first 3 singles matches off the court. And look, Michigan threw everything they had at Baylor, and that match was a lot closer than the 4-0 scoreline might indicate. But this Baylor team looks really good. They're deep. They're strong at the top. Everyone in their lineup could play in any given position in any given match. And, they have solutions should there be injuries, should guys suffer with poor form for stretches of time during the season. I think Baylor's going to be really, really good. And I really hope we get to see them play their match against Texas A&M. Of course, again, UNC rolling in Chapel Hill. USC looks so good in Los Angeles as well. We know what those teams are going to be come NCAA tournament. And by the way, quietly, maybe one of the biggest winners, Illinois, because if Illinois can rack up some wins at the national indoors, given the regional-based scheduling of this season, Ohio State, Michigan, not going to have the chance maybe to catch them short of beating them in the dual match season. So Illinois can really get some momentum on their side at that national indoor event. But of course, again, you look at the teams we have breaking down in the Final 8. It should be a really, really fun championship weekend that we can all look forward to. But as I mentioned earlier, there is one other winner we have yet to talk about. They are the subject of today's deciding point. So Westhoff, roll those deciding point credits, please. Okay, so the topic of today's deciding point is pretty unequivocally the University of Virginia men's tennis team, who have to be considered the biggest winners from this weekend of play. And some of you listeners may know this already. Some of you viewers know that I've been rocking the Who's for years now. They're probably the reason I am as into college tennis as I am. And no, I didn't travel to Virginia, but anyone who's followed men's college tennis for the past decade knows how good this program has been, how they set the standard from 2010 to 2017 on what excellence meant in college tennis, right alongside of USC. And for this Virginia team, Coach Pedroso now in his third year at the helm. Obviously, third year, you start to really have a team full of your recruits, the guys you have brought into the program. And it's pretty unequivocal that Coach Pedroso just hit a grand slam with his recruiting class here in 2021. You look at the performances of Jeff van der Schulenburg this weekend, of Iñaki Montes, of Chris Rodesh as well. For them to go to Columbus, I think combined they win, I'm doing some quick math in my head here, 5-1 in their 6 matches. Montes, van der Schulenburg undefeated in both singles and doubles all weekend long. Rodesh got them a much needed third first set in that matchup against Ohio State so that they could keep momentum on their side. And again, it was the poise that the freshmen played with. And of course, you still have guys like Carl Soderlund at the top of your lineup. You have the luxury now, if you're Coach Pedroso, to put a guy like Gianni Ross at the number 6 position. Obviously, Ryan Getz, as these freshmen get better, perhaps he moves down even a little bit lower in the lineup as well. And it's just, Coach Pedroso has options and he has talent. And I don't think any of us were expecting this Virginia team to be this good early on in the season. And look, they're in a conference with a bunch of really, really good teams. Wake Forest, NC State, obviously UNC, all teams we consider to be in the national conversation, teams that could end up at the final site come NCAAs. I think you have to throw Virginia in that mix now, and they're going to have the chance to get battle tested all season long. College tennis is a better place when Virginia tennis is thriving, and folks, the Who's are back. Phenomenal weekend for them. Again, second team to go to Columbus, I think, since 2004 and earn a victory. So shout out to Coach Pedroso and the University of Virginia men's tennis team. But that'll do it for today's deciding point. Again, we will be back next week. We will have Jamie McDonald here with us. We'll talk about all of the action unfolding in Australia, and we will be covering all of that on our Cracked Racquets podcast throughout the week. So be sure to stay tuned, stick around, and go check all of them out either on our website, crackedrackets.com, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. But with that in mind, for our super producer Daniel Westhoff and our entire team here at Cracked Racquets, I'm your host Alex Gruskin. You've been watching another edition of The Deciding Point, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Coming in at number 5 in our Cracked Racquets ITA preseason poll, the USC Trojans. The Trojans ended last year's shortened season as the number 1 ranked team in the land, and they will be looking to keep the baton rolling into 2021. Head coach Brett Macy's squad was in the midst of an outstanding campaign in 2020, capturing the ITA National Team Indoor Championships last February and suffering only one dual match defeat throughout the duration of the season. Coach Macy has no shortage of talent to work with in 2021, as he brings back almost every major contributor from last year's squad. Fourth year Daniel Kucherman was ranked number 1 in the country just last season, and he will have no trouble stepping into the role of top player and leader for the Trojans this year. Fans will also be excited to see veteran guys like Riley Smith and Moore Bullis back in the fold, as they have been fantastic throughout their careers. Throw in the experience of guys like Bradley Fry, Jake Stans, Stefan Dostanic, and others, and it seems like all of the pieces of the puzzle are on the table for the Trojans this season. Examining the roster. Coach Macy will be relying on his seniors Riley Smith and Daniel Kucherman to lead the way both on and off the court for the Trojans in 2021. Smith and Kucherman have seen and done it all when it comes to the biggest stages in collegiate tennis.
Their experience and steady presence at the top of the lineup will be invaluable as USC navigates a dual match season that will be as unpredictable and unlike any we've seen before. Cookerman is definitely one of the best players in the nation, and the Trojans know he can beat any other guy on any given day. Even though he's played primarily at the number 2 position, the speedy right-hander had a 26-2 overall singles record last season and was on a 7-match win streak when competition was canceled last March. While the 6'7" Smith may not have been that successful, he held an impressive 17-5 overall singles record and was on a 5-match win streak himself when things got shut down. As good as he is in singles, Smith may be even more valuable in the doubles court, as he went 27-5 overall on the season, including an 11-1 record in dual matches. Beyond the seniors, juniors Moore Bullis, Bradley Fry, and Jake Sands give Coach Macy plenty of depth to look towards at the bottom of the lineup. Bullis has been rock solid for the Trojans since joining the team in 2019. He posted a 22-5 singles record last season and was ranked as high as number 9 in the country in the fall of 2019. Beyond the juniors, sophomore Stefan Dostanic and Ryder Jackson can also be counted on to contribute to the Trojans this season. Both guys held up well in the big moments as freshmen and should be ready to contribute at an even higher degree this season. The Trojans also gained a potential impact freshman in Ludwig Westrate. Having competed in all 4 junior slams, Westrate has the ability to jump in and make noise for the team very early in the season. While Coach Macy will not need to rely on him from the get-go, don't be surprised if Westrate makes rapid improvements this spring and is contributing down the stretch run. Possible lineups. As far as the lineups go, it should be fairly easy to predict based on what we saw last year. Cookerman is the number 1 guy without any question, and will be steering the ship for the Trojans this entire season. We expect Smith and Bullis to fill out the top half of the lineup, and have Stefan Dostanic as our only other lock in the Trojan singles lineup. Things get a little more interesting at 5 and 6. Coach Macy could elect to go with his more experienced players and start Sands and Fry, but he could also turn to his younger guys in Jackson and Westrate. We expect a bit of a rotation in the lower part of the lineup to start the season. However, we also know what we see in January could be totally different from what we end up seeing in April and May. What's achievable? If you commit to play tennis for USC, the goals are already set in stone. It's pretty simple for the Trojans. Compete and win the Pac-12 conference and put yourself in a position to win the national championship. In terms of the conference, USC should absolutely be one of the favorites, if not the outright top contender, to win the Pac-12 in 2021. Of course, it's never easy, especially with teams like Stanford and UCLA vying for the same crown, but this Trojan squad has all of the pieces to bring home a Pac-12 crown. Looking at the national landscape, we would be shocked to see the Trojans finish any worse than a quarterfinal berth in the NCAA tournament. That would be the minimum. Could they potentially reach the Final Four, or even one step further? There's no question in our mind that this team has that capability. Losing a guy like Brandon Holt certainly hurts, and reaching the Final Four in 2021 will be as difficult as any season in college tennis history. However, these Trojans go at least 8 deep, and you should be sure to keep your eyes on them, as they will be making noise throughout the 2021 season.
it here on our Rackets Red Zone coverage. And we are so grateful that all of you have joined us throughout the weekend. Of course, the other person who has joined us here on the call this weekend and joining me today for our final match in Los Angeles, you know him as the forefather of the college tennis ranks formula, predictions never far from the listed UTR, one of the many dames still rooting for the Liberty Flames, and of course, the man doing this all with one shoulder. It's Chris Helioris. Chris, final match to go, USC, UCLA, first month of the college tennis season. Feels like all is finally right in the world.
Absolutely. Great weekend. I mean, good to get this one in the books, get it behind us, and get the season started and ready for this last match.
And of course, we will be bringing to you this match as we go through the doubles point, the singles lineup. We will be jumping from court to court as action heats up throughout the duel. A reminder, in case this is your first college tennis match, it's a first to 4 points format, the doubles point being a total of 1 point. Whoever can win 2 out of 3 set gets that doubles point. Of course, whichever team can then win enough singles matches to get to 4 points ultimately wins the duel. Each of one of those singles flights worth 1 individual point in the team score. And again, today we have a really fun match on our hands. 2 teams who know each other as well as any in the country. The USC Trojans taking on the UCLA Bruins. Of course, the Trojans, the #1 preseason team in the ITA rankings. They've also got the #1 player in the country in Daniel Kucherman, the #1 doubles team in the country in Kucherman and Riley Smith. They enter this season in a very fun spot. And if you're Coach Brett Macy's second year at the helm, probably have national championship aspirations in 2021, right, Chris?
Absolutely. That's anything less is not what they're looking for. That's absolutely the case.
And today they take on a UCLA team that is in a very interesting position. Now, normally UCLA is hosting one of these kickoff events, right? They usually enter the season as at least a top 16 school in the country. Here in this instance, they have to travel to USC to take on the Trojans. Now, yesterday in an only singles format, it was a pretty impressive performance for the Bruins, given they are out a couple of their top players. No Govind Nanda, no Patrick Zaraj, no Drew Baird, no Connor Hance, yet still they were able to win the match 4-0. Victories at the #1 singles position from Keegan Smith, then 3, 4, and 5 from Bellamy, Solokian, and I believe who's playing #3 singles for them. See, we're live, so we can't cut this like it's a podcast. Yeah, Sam Feet, thank you, the other player, to get a victory for them. But look, it's an uphill battle for UCLA. Let's start by looking at where the UTRs have these 2 teams now. If they were fielding full lineups, it would still be a tough matchup for UCLA. Normally, this UCLA team, a 79.19 power 6 UTR. That would put them about 2 points, 1.98 behind USC, who's got a power 6 of 81.17. The only matchup UCLA would have been favored at was Govind Nanda at #2 over Riley Smith. But both of these teams, a couple of absences in their lineup. We mentioned the ones for the Bruins, for USC, no for them, then that's obviously a big loss for them, given they expect him to contribute at a minimum in the top 4, maybe even higher in the lineup. They're an 80.31 here today, but UCLA a 77.15. So normally it's about a 2-point UTR gap. Today it's 3 and change, Chris. Let's start with some match calculus. If you are the UCLA Bruins, how important is this opening doubles point?
You never want to drop it, but if you do, am I worried that I'm going to lose the match? If I'm Coach Macy, of course I am. That's what coaches do. If I'm me, no, I'm not worried. I'm still going to win 4 singles matches.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. And look, let's look at the UTR's flight to flight in this matchup today. The only, again, toss up really at the #1 singles position. Now, USC is favored at all 6 flights, and at #1, they are a 0.15 favorite. Kucherman a 14.11. Keegan Smith, #1 for UCLA, a 13.96. But it's pretty safe to say both of those guys, top 5 players in the country. That match is a toss-up. Everywhere else in the lineup is where things get tough for the Bruins. At a minimum, they trail by 0.45 in each UTR spot. They, of course, You look up and down the lineup. I mean, Smith versus Goldberg, Dostanic versus Fight, Fry versus Bellamy, Jackson versus Solokian. Then it'll be freshman Ludwig Vestrate taking on Eric Hahn. If you are the UCLA Bruins today, where are your singles victories coming from? And by the way, you see now on court, these doubles teams will start at the number one doubles position. Just a quick run through of those doubles lineups. Chris, sorry for asking you a question that I'm not allowing you to answer. Welcome back, everyone. Didn't you miss us? I ask questions. I don't actually let Chris answer. This is just an excuse for me to feel like I'm talking to someone for 2.5 hours.
They should go to dinner with us. It's the same thing.
That's what my dad always says. He'll just go, Alex, enough. And I'll just go, okay, I'll stop there. But line up for these teams real quick. Number one position and on your screen, Kucherman to the right. Obviously, Riley Smith, the big man to his left. They're taking on Keegan Smith and Sam Fight. At the number two position, Poulter Smith, yes, brother of Riley, cousin of Keegan, and Bradley Fry taking on Max Vild and Roscoe Bellamy. Number three position, it's Jackson Dostanic taking on Solokian and Goldberg. We will be hitting court by court throughout the course of this match. Chris, back to the question I asked you 6 days ago. For UCLA to have a chance in this match, what does the match calculus look like?
I don't know. I don't know how they do, but if they do, right, they have to win doubles. Keegan Smith has to beat Daniel Kucherman. And then it gets interesting. I don't see Ben Goldberg beating Riley Smith. I would say you have to go after the freshman at 6, right? If indeed the lineup that we see right now is what's playing, and that is Ludwig Westrate playing at 6 for USC, only his second match. I'd say, you got to go after that spot. So now we've got 1, 6, and doubles, and we have to throw one more in there. I don't think you're beating Dostanic. I already said I don't think you're beating Riley Smith, so that's either Fry or Jackson. I don't, they just got to get one of either Bellamy or Solokian's got to win that extra match. Who knows who's best suited to do that?
Of course, in Sam Fiat, the graduate transfer here, playing with Keegan Smith from Gonzaga. UCLA has a 2-time all West Coast Conference singles honoree, a 2-time, or I don't know if it's the West Coast Conference, WCC. I think that's West Coast Conference. Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. But 2-time singles honoree, 2-time doubles honoree. He's been a 2-time ITA Scholar Athlete, a guy who's been ranked as high as number 109 in the country in singles, 33 in the country in doubles. The reason I bring this up, you talk about winning the doubles point for the Bruins, as difficult as it will be here against the number one team of Kucherman and Riley Smith. Keegan Smith's the sort of player, Chris, on the right day, it doesn't really matter what his opponents are doing. And of course, he and Max Cressy for UCLA, the NCAA doubles champion back in 2019. So technically, he's still the defending champion. That's also the recipe for the Bruins, right? Is just Keegan Smith has one of those days where he hits his opponents off the court in both singles and doubles.
He can absolutely carry a doubles team. I mean, he can win every one of his service games, obviously, just with his serve, and then he can win his partner service games at the net. He could carry them to a win on that court. Then the question is, can one of the other two doubles teams win? Yeah, but doubles is doubles with good teams on any given day in one 6-game set. Sure, first break wins in a lot of cases. So yeah, that could happen. I mean, it's not out of the question.
We see a big deuce point here early in the Keegan Smith service game, and the lob just goes over the head of Fiat and Smith. So it's USC early break on one. Hate to see that if you're a Bruin fan. Let's go now, Westoff, if we can, to court number 3, where we have another deuce point. Solokian and Goldberg of UCLA taking on Jackson and Dostanic. Again, that's court 3 now for the 3 doubles position. Beautiful. We see the deuce point here. Believe that's Goldberg serving in the near court. Feels worth mentioning. Ben Goldberg. Good friend of your play-by-play host today. Had the chance to talk with him a bunch at last year's National Indoors, Chris. I think he even charmed you.
It's not hard.
It's not hard indeed. That's why you are. We get you to stick around here on the stream.
Couldn't see where that ball went, but based on Goldberg's body language, I'm going to assume they were broken.
Okay, good. So it wasn't just me there. That's why I didn't want to say anything. The silence was more out of precaution
I
than
couldn't tell where
awkwardness.
that ball went up in the sun. Was it a long ball? It looked like they took a swing at an overhead. USC did, but I never saw the ball come down.
Yeah, and it sounded like, I to be honest, again, lost that one in the sun. Looks like the cameras are slightly better shaded today. Sure, that's due to the evening start. And I just have to say right here, the leg sleeve, the hat, the USC red and white. This is a great look, Chris. So it looks like from, body language doctor would suggest it's 1-0 Jackson Dostanich. So they're up an early break now here at 1-3. And of course, 15 love here in this service game. So we're waiting to see here again. We're going to assume it's 1-0. We'll get a score update there. Actually, Westhoff, if we can, let's go to court 2. 40-30 now for Smith and Fry at number 2 doubles, taking on Vilden Bellamy.
Actually, the scoreboard shows that Slotkin and Goldberg held.
Okay, we'll take it. So 1-0 Slotkin and Goldberg. Benny, pick that head up. Come on. We need better body language from you if we're going to try and figure out what the score is here. But we got a very interesting question, Chris, something we knew we were going to bring up at some point during the course of this stream from Scotty B, who very kindly says, if y'all could do the Baylor versus Texas A&M match when it gets played for the ITA championship, whether in Waco or College Station, it would be amazing. Chris, a lot of uncertainty right now surrounding that A&M Baylor round of 16 match. What do you know?
A lot of uncertainty, but what I'll say, and nothing is finalized yet. So the ITA's come out with nothing. We only know what we've heard in talking to folks that are close to the situation around the country, different coaches, different folks. And what we know as of right now is it seems like it's leaning to a precedence of what would happen in a weather-related situation, which is, should an event be canceled midway through, that the higher seeded team is given that spot, which in this case would be Texas A&M. So it's possible that the match doesn't even get played and Texas A&M is awarded the spot and they go. But again, that's not final. Would we all like to see that match played? Sure. Everybody wants to see them play the match, but you've got a lot of things that go into it. And I'm sure that's what the ITA is working through. So we'll let them do their job. But I would just say the leaning at this point may be there, but that's us, pure speculation. There's no official word from the ITA. And we've not spoken to anybody to ask that a question of the ITA. So that obviously is not coming from the ITA.
Well, I should say I have texted CEO Tim Russell just to inquire. And he said, yeah, we haven't made a decision yet. As soon as we know anything, you all will know anything. So that's something we will keep you all up to date on. Knowing Baylor head coach Michael Woodson the way we do, Chris, play that match in my backyard, play it in the snow, play it on indoor carpet. You could play it anywhere. Texas A&M can pick the venue. Baylor will be there. They'll have their 6. They could even say, hey, Coach Denton, play. That's how excited Coach Woodson is for this season. So hopefully we get to see that match played, because that's a match worthy of a round of 16, right, Chris? That's what you usually see when there are 16 teams in a normal expanded ITA indoors. So hopefully we just want to see tennis.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, and again, this is just me thinking off the top of my head, nothing else. And I've heard this from nobody. In my mind, once you've gotten back from that weekend, now you have all another whole round, right, of testing and everything that has to be done, just like any other match. And what happens if, hey, we showed up for either team, we showed up with everybody to play in Michigan, everyone was fine. Now all of a sudden we go a week later and we get a few bad tests. And
just quickly, can we go to court 3, please, Westhoff? Sorry, go on.
And you tell me I got to play with a different lineup. Either team that happened to them would go, well, hey, that's not fair. So in my own mind, I think, hey, if they really want to see the match, why not just invite them both to indoors, kind of like we have the NCAA basketball tournament where you have like the first 4 in play-in game or something. Say, hey, you guys play the day before at the play-in game and then go on. I'm okay with that, right? Everybody just wants to see the match. So who knows what the ITA is going to come up with.
So now I know how you feel when I give an idea, because obviously in spirit, 1,000% down, but it's like in COVID times, that'll never happen. Have a team travel all the way to Champaign to play one match? Like, absolutely not. But I'm in. I'm all in. I mean, play in College Station, play the match at the SMU indoor facility, play it anywhere. We just want to see these players play. Of course, that's why we're so excited to get some action here again, as we see on our screen. Quick score update for all of you here on court number 3. It's Goldberg, Solokian, 40-30 up on Jackson and Dostanich. And yes, it is 1-1 there. So we're on serve. Believe the UCLA team of Smith and Fry currently up a break 2-1. The team of Wild and Bellamy up a break 2-1 on Smith and Fry. Let's watch this game point, and then we'll go back to court 2 to monitor a little bit of that action currently. Watch this exchange here. Brilliant exchange. So we'll stick on this court for 1 point longer, as we have a deuce point now at number 3 doubles, and then we'll go to court 2, and we can confirm it is Wild and Bellamy serving. So they're up 2-1, 40 love right here, 1-1 deuce point. So let's stay on court 3 here for the deuce point. Then we'll go to court 2 to check out some of that action.
Point.
I mean, that's what we're talking about, folks. College tennis is back. If you don't like the doubles point, I don't know what you're doing, folks. Solokian and Goldberg hold 2-1 now. Here we are on court 2, where, as you see, it is Wild and Bellamy. Is it Vild? Figure it out as we go. I'll mix it in each. But they hold for 3-1 here. So break lead on court 2 for UCLA. Let's go to court 1, Westoff. Riley Smith, Daniel Kucherman up a break 2-1, 40-15. We'll see if they can get the game held here.
You don't think it's Maximilian Zilch or Vilch or however the heck
Vild.
Say both Tiago says his last name.
I'm 100% sure it's not Wild. Yes, I'm 100% sure it's not Wild, if that's what you're asking me. But what is Wild? Kucherman, Smith back again for the Trojans. That sort of experience. And they hold 4-3-1. Let's go to court number 2 if we can, Westoff, because certainly with all the depth Coach Macy has in his lineup, Coulter, Smith, Bradley, Fry, maybe not the team we expected to see at number 2 doubles here. Love 15, they're down, and a break 1-3, but haven't really had a chance to watch much of Coulter Smith, Chris, so want to see how he fares here in this one.
We got 3/4 leggings on this side.
I don't know what this says about USC, but every player, sans Riley Smith, could be confused for Brandon Holt. Like, if you told me all of them were Brandon Holt, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Wait. Okay. I'll give that to you on this court. Come on. But some of the other
courts. It's the hair.
I was just going to say, but on that Dostanich Jackson court, there's no way they got the Hallihorse COVID hair going over there.
Yeah, but Holt had a little lettuce in the back as well. Don't sell him short. So he's still here.
Brandon's probably watching this, so give us a shout, Brandon.
Maybe
tell Druskin he's crazy. You were way better looking than the rest of these guys.
We see here again a break of serve. So now double break 4-1. Let's go to number 3 doubles, Westoff, where we're on serve. 40 love now for Jackson and Dostanich. No, Brandon Holt might be the nicest player to have come through college tennis in the past decade. Someone that good should not be that kind, Chris.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching even an under the weather Brandon Holt at indoors last year. Such a good kid.
So now we see 40-15 here for Jackson Dostanich. This is a really interesting doubles team. for Coach Brett Macy. Again, you lose a piece like Holt, who you could just pencil in anywhere, singles, doubles, he's playing. We see them hold 4-2 all. Doubles is probably the biggest question mark in the Trojans lineup, right, Chris? When you look at who is going to be number 2, who is going to be number 3. Now, certainly, again, it's worth noting no more Bullis here this weekend for the Trojans. You imagine he'll figure into the doubles lineup somewhere. But when you look at the pieces that Coach Macy has when putting together the doubles lineup, what are you expecting to see? Do you think he keeps Smith and Kucherman together?
I mean, it's always the question, do you take a great team like that and split them up to try to make 2 really good doubles teams? When you've got a team that good, no, I don't think so. You have to leave Smith and Kucherman together. Top, arguably number 1, but if, one of the top doubles teams in the country, you got to leave those guys together.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who remember last year's national indoor final, just having Brandon Holt playing the number 2 doubles position, keeping him as a placeholder in the lineup allowed them to keep Smith and Kucherman together. Or Smith and Kucherman 5-4 down, break Will Blumberg serve on 2 consecutive points hold to give the Trojans the doubles point, give them the momentum in the final. From there, obviously, they go on to cruise to that national indoor championship. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we will see more Bullis back in that doubles lineup. I think if you can find pairings in Jackson and Dostanic, I think you really like that. If you're Coach Smith, the question is, who's playing with Bullis? Is it Coulter Smith? Is it Bradley Fry? Is it Jake Sands? There's a bunch of options right at the bottom of the lineup. So won't surprise me more than anything if early in the season you do see Coach Macy play around a little bit with his lineups. We see here now 30-15 on the Goldberg serve. Was talking to Ben before the match. Conditions today, 55, which is winter in LA. It's freezing. They're shivering. That's why you see all the leg sleeves today. Double up on the avocado toast this morning. Get ready for those winds. 55 degrees, strong crosswinds. Gruskin meters puts it at a 12% chance of precipitation. And we see them hold
a promising start here for the Bruins if they need this doubles point. I mean, they're not getting it at number 1, but yet the other 2 are right there.
No, and you like Salokian and Goldberg. Those are 2 veterans for the Bruins. Let's go to court number 2, Westhoff, if we can, to watch that number 2 doubles pairing again. Vild, Bellamy, 5-1 up now on the pairing of Smith and Fry. You're looking at the 2 matches you probably put in the bank for both teams. Riley Smith, Kucherman, 4-2 breakup. Just so tough to break that number 1 team in the country. For UCLA, big lead here at 2. Does look like it's coming down to number 3, Chris. And how many times have you seen that YouTube clip pop up, or that Twitter clip pop up in your feed? Ben Goldberg clinches match for the Bruins. I feel like we saw that at least 7 times in the Bruins 9 wins during 2020.
Definitely felt like that was a recurring theme.
Yeah, the problem is it was against teams like, UC West Bloomfield, but nevertheless locked in. And again, here now.
I mean, up double break on this court. I'm almost thinking, hey, just go after every return. And, if we don't get it, we'll go to changeover, let Roscoe Bell, 6'5" Roscoe Bellamy serve for it. But yeah, they're in good shot to even go after the break here.
Oh, absolutely. Again, Bellamy on the right side of your court, Vild on the left. Wonder who the Bellamy parents here are pulling for. Obviously their son, but I believe older brother Robbie, former USC Trojan. Roscoe going to the Bruins here, big 30-all point. assuming they are indeed brothers, Chris, who is Robbie Bellamy rooting for here? His brother to win, but the Trojans to hold on?
You got to root for your brother, don't you? I mean, even your brother's team.
Nah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you got to kind of pull for your brother's team.
If my little brother was good enough to play for Ohio State and his team had the chance to win a national championship against Michigan, it depends. If he was playing the clinching match, then I'd want him to win more than anything. If he had already won his duel, then I'd be like, all right, but you won, so you'll feel fine. Like, it's cool. It's cool. So we'll see here now. Deuce point, match point for the Bruins. At number 3, they choose to go to, I believe, the ad side for Vild.
Well, I'm not sure if that's Rickus or the volunteer assistant there for UCLA, but he's bundled up like it's 30 degrees.
I said it. It's a brisk 55 in LA. That's storm conditions. It's a really nice volley there from the Trojans. They hold, put a little pressure on the Bruins, force them to serve it out 5-2 Westhoff. Let's go back now to court number 3. 3-all between Dostanich, Jackson, Solokian, Goldberg, Solokian, serving on the far side of your court for the Bruins. Looks like it's going to come down to this one. Smith and Kucherman, 4-3 up a break on Fiat and Smith. And honestly, we'll go check that one out a little bit because I feel like we haven't watched enough of the number 1 team in the country yet on this stream. If you're the Smith family watching this, you're like, can we focus more on courts 1 and 2, please? Got 3 Smiths in action on 2 courts, and all you're showing us is court 3. We'll monitor the action on court 3, though, as well, so we don't miss any chance at a match point there. Here on your screen, again, you see number 1 doubles team. Kucherman serving on the near court. Riley Smith.
Yeah, I don't think there's no way I'm confusing that Ryder Jackson hair with Brandon Holt. Sorry, Alex.
It's okay, Chris. Everyone's wrong once in a while. You can be here. So 30 love now, Smith, Kucherman. 5-2, 15 all on court 2 for the Bruins. Again, keeping an eye on that score line for a match point. If we get there, we'll switch to it. If not, we're going to enjoy this number 1 doubles team in the country for a little bit longer. $30-15 now, really fun point unfolding. At number 3 doubles, Chris, you watch these guys, you forget how athletic all these players really are. Interesting spot now here at number 1, 30 all. It's currently 40-15 for the Bruins at 3 as they look to hold 4-4-3. They're 2 points away from taking the set at 2. 2 points away from getting a break back here at number 1. So here comes that Bruins push. And again, don't want to be a Bruins doubter. But if you're a UCLA fan, you really need your team to take the doubles point today. Singles depth, the biggest strength for the Trojans. UCLA missing up to 4 single starters today, depending on how you look at things. So if they can steal this doubles point, it's a rivalry match. Anything can happen here. Game points for Smith and Kucherman.
$30-all double fault on court 2 from Roscoe Bellamy, trying to close that set out for the Bruins. So they'll face 2 break points for the Trojans to try to get one of them back.
We'll stay here on court 1 because it's a deuce point, but yes, very much true. And it's worth noting it's a double break lead, as you talked about, on court 2. So even if the Bruins broken here, they'll have another shot to serve it out. That's why I won't feel too upset if we miss this, but let's watch this deuce point here unfold. Yeah, that's how you draw it up if you're a Trojan fan. Let's go to court 2 if we can now, West.
They just
That's why he's the best in the business, folks. Get the break back indeed. So now 3-5 there. Can we peek on court 3 quickly, Westhoff? I see a scoreboard glitch. I just want to look where we're at here. We'll watch this final point. Did it look like we got a fist pump from Ben Goldberg? It looked like we did. Or maybe not. Currently unclear. But again, it is the witching hour now, so keep an eye on all 3 courts. 5-3 Trojans at number 1. 5-3 Bruins at number 2. Believed it was 3-all on court number 3, but now it looks like, Westhoff, can you hit refresh on that feed? Just make sure we're up to date. Looks like we are, so scoreboard just a little bit behind.
And the online scoreboard also showing 3-all with a 6-8 game score.
I think it's 4-3 UCLA. I think Goldberg and Solokian did hold. I think it's now Jackson Dostanich serving down 3-4. I'm just not exactly sure what the service game score is, but they are on serve here at number 3. That much I'm pretty sure.
It is indeed 4-3 for Goldberg and Solokian.
Again, every so often you're right as well. Triple match point on court number 1, Westhoff. Let's go back to number 1. 15:30 on your screen. Spoiler alert, this one's going to the Trojans. You hear the roar from Riley Smith. So now 15:40. Triple break point, triple match point for the number 1 team in the country, Smith and Kucherman, who again did not play together against UNLV as there was no doubles point. So have to like the start to your number 1 team in the country season if you're Coach Macy. Breaking Keegan Smith twice. Let's see if they can do it. One fought off by the Trojans. Westhoff, if we can, let's go to court 3. Deuce point now in that 4-3 game. I don't know what's more important, Chris, the match point or the deuce point here. Looks like it's going to come down to number 3. So I say we stick with this deuce point.
3. Yeah. We're likely to have potentially match points on 1 and 2 simultaneously.
Someone asked on the screen, and I believe it's Stephen Miller, did Bullis transfer from USC? No, he did not transfer. Unfortunately, he's out this weekend.
Yeah, I think Coach Macy, when he came on, reminded us. I think it was just from his travel to the U.S. He was in a quarantine period just upon arrival, not ill or anything else, just his routine quarantine upon showing up to school. So that's the reason for his lack of appearance this weekend.
So that's a huge development for the Bruins as they get the break here at number 3 doubles. Westhoff, let's go to court 1, please. 5-3 deuce now for the Trojans. By the way, it's 5-3-30 all on court 2 as Smith and Fry look to hold the force of Wild and Bellamy to serve it out. So again, if you're a Bruin fan, you are really happy with these past 5 minutes of action. You get the break on 3. Have a chance. Stay alive here on 1.
That was a good serve by Fry on 2 to get to 40-30 for the Trojans and 2 chances to hold here and force Wild to take UCLA's second chance to serve that one out.
So watch this second serve point. Well, there you go. Big Trojan roar. They get the first set on the board. 6-3 at number 1. Let's go to court 2, Westhoff. Deuce point now.
Deuce point, match point, break point for UCLA here.
Little triple threat action. And remember, it's the Bruins who lead by a break on court 3. So yes, the Trojans strike first, but it's not always who strikes first in college tennis. Lob sails a little bit long. So Trojans stay alive on court 2, 3-game swing for them. So 5-4, Bellamy-Vild still going to have a chance to hold for the set. Let's go to court 3 now, Westhoff, if we can. Jackson Dostanic looking to break Ben Goldberg. They had a breakpoint opportunity in the very first game of this match on the Goldberg serve here, 50-30, as Goldberg looks to deliver a big set for his Bruins. So now 30-all, both teams 2 points away. Chris, if it's the Bruins versus the Trojans, throw out the rankings. None of that matters coming into this.
I'll bite my tongue till we're 45 minutes into singles.
Me too.
Oh, no.
So double from Goldberg. Should have bitten my tongue before. That one's on me, Ben. So now double break point chance for the Bruins. Again, 5-4-15 love now on court 2. Keep you updated on what's happening there. If you're the Trojans, the thing you love to see there, Jackson, Dostanic, both at the net, moving forward, playing attacking tennis. They break Goldberg to stay alive. So big Trojan push when they need it most. 4-5 here on court 3. Let's go to court 2. Bruins 2 points away from taking a set of their own at the number 2 position. Vild Bellamy performing so well. Roscoe Bellamy, dominant performance yesterday, or 2 days ago, for the Bruins here. Has a chance to serve out. Big set over the Trojans. Just like that, backhand ends up in the net. So now 30-15. We'll keep an eye on when court 3 resumes. Feels weird only having one match to cover, right, Chris? I'm ready to kick it over to Raleigh, where we've got practice coverage of Rafael Izquierdo working on his forehand following a rough weekend.
I'm really confused on this match because I saw Vild serve from this side of the court.
They like to keep things spicy, Chris. Still,
I wish we had the full stream. I want to go back and see now. But he was serving because I saw him all the way out against the doubles line on the ad court serving.
So court number 2 goes to the Bruins. 6-4 decision for Vild and Bellamy. Let's go back to court 3, where it's Dostanic alongside Ryder Jackson looking to stay alive. Love 15 down against Sorokin and Goldberg of UCLA. They had just broken Ben Goldberg to stay alive in the match, but it's not a break back till you consolidate it by holding. Have to love this if your coach is Macy and Martin. Early pressure for your teams. Oh, of course he tracked it down.
Wow.
Oh, this is what I'm talking about. Chris has an overhead hit at him, doesn't flinch. And you see assistant coach Chris Quinta cool as the other side of the pillow, talking his boys through this moment. Quinta looks like he's in Alaska. Again, it's 55 outside.
I think our buddy Connor Rapp told you it's exactly what you said it wasn't, and that it's wild.
It is wild. Guess what? His play was wild today.
Thanks, Connor. Anytime you can correct Gruskin, I'm all for it.
Well, the correction might be for both of us, Chris, because right now, 4 breakpoint match points for the Bruins to give the UCLA team a much-needed doubles point boost in this match. Big first serve. Quinta.
Definitely not what we saw coming, but for those wanting to see a really competitive match, something you needed to see if you're a Bruins fan, given the guys that you're missing, this could be a huge point for them.
I've never felt more, I've never felt better about a decision to eat 2 Eggo waffles at 5 p.m. at night, Chris, because we might be here for a while if the Bruins do indeed take this doubles point.
I mean, the decision to go sans Nutella, if this happens, though, might not have been the best one.
That one was for the people. So 3 big serves draw, 3 return errors. Chris, did I not say Stefan Dostanic is the swing player for this USC team? Fights off the first 3, but as we know in college tennis, deuce point still a break point, and that's what the Bruins have. One more shot to secure the doubles point. It may have taken 4 incredible efforts from this team of Jackson and Dostanic. That's exactly what they got. Huge huevos from this USC 3 doubles team. They survive a love 40 deficit, 5-all. Great final point, but if you're UCLA, you only make 1 return of those 4 breakpoint chances. All the momentum with the Trojans right now. The wheels, though, Chris, the wheels on these players, they track everything down, but you see again, Dostanic, Jackson. It's the brand that's associated with USC. You play to win if you're a Trojan. They're both at the net, playing aggressive. What was Chris Quinta telling them, Chris? That's really good.
I mean, what do you say? They just fought off 4 break points and then they jump out to a 15-love lead. I think that's really good, guys. Keep it up. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
Although I hate to say it, if you're a UCLA fan, and look, I know I'm old-fashioned in this way. I don't like the one up, one back. USC's getting on top of the net, Chris. They're taking it. They're playing to. Playing to win is such a cliche, but they're taking it to this Bruins team. They are the ones being the aggressor. I just think that's the team you'd rather be at 5-all in the deciding set.
I feel like Salakian looked a little more comfortable wanting to just slap the forehand for a winner from back here.
Exactly, and as good as those hands are for Ben Berg, there's not much you can do there other than try and keep that ball low, but it pops up on you in the easy overhead for the Trojans. So now 15-30, and again, I'm old-fashioned like that. Give me a good glass of chocolate milk, a Reese's.
And 4 guys at the net.
I had some serve and volley, I was going to say, but yeah. I mean, then again, when you can split the middle with a forehand like that, I'd want to hit it too. So I get it. I just think you're playing on it's USC's terms.
Yeah, but I think that's a little more effective for Salakian from the ad court where he's got the forehand wide. Not so much here where he's really got to get out in the alley to hit the forehand. But it worked.
Again, this USC team gifting them a couple of errors, so now a couple of chances here to hold for UCLA, just sort of stop the bleeding, maintain momentum. Worth noting, they were the team, by the way, who just had 4 match points, so Evidently what they're doing here is working. And they hold 4-6-5. So you know what? I'm just going to zip it up. No more commentary for me. We'll just talk about what's unfolding on our screen here. 6-5, Soloki and Goldberg on serve at the number 3 doubles position. Jackson, Dostanic fighting off 4 match points in their 4-5 service game. Love 40 down. They come back to hold. Looked like they had a chance there to break. Looks like the Trojans, they're playing confident, Chris. They're moving forward. They're sticking to their plays here. Your thoughts on what we've seen from this doubles point so far?
My first thought is if anybody believes you're going to zip it, that's not happening. But no, I'm with you. I think you and I are both of the, we're the kind of doubles mindset that likes to see get to the net, especially if you're serving. It's serve and volley, and you don't want to serve and then let the other guys get to the net on you. But it worked out for him that game. I do like being the more aggressive team, but you got the advantage. Go for the break here.
I said this earlier, but folks, college doubles, best 40 minutes in all of tennis. 3 courts, sudden death action. Ball yanks a little bit wide from Goldberg there. 15-love Trojans.
Goldberg channeling in his inner pickleball there, going for the little touch.
Yeah, but he was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Still, if you don't feel goosebumps right now, it is easy to have college tennis back, Chris. Oh,
what a return.
A laser low at the feet of Ryder Jackson. Believe it's Jackson serving now, correct, Chris?
Man, now they're too far away from me to tell.
Well, Leggings is at the net. Leggings is Dostanic, correct?
Yeah, I think that was right.
So it is Ryder Jackson serving. No freaking way. Ooh. Incredible lob from Solokian. From Indianapolis, that ball did look just a shade wide, Chris. Just a shade. Here the Bruins cheering loudly if you have the volume turned up in this one. Oh.
And given that Ben Goldberg's on this side and that there's half a shade already being given by Gruskin. You get half of that. But now.
What do you mean? I'm zipped up, Chris. The lips are zipped.
I forgot. You're zipped up.
Match point number 5 for the Bruins here to take the doubles point.
It's going to take at least 6.
No, this is when they thrive. They're like, here, sorry. Oh, we're not that point. Just this ball. Add a little drama. They want commentator Sam DeVries, to say Unreal Ryder, not just Unreal Stefan.
Yeah.
So now 30-40.
I feel like I could steal one of your lines I heard many times last year at indoors, that I think we'd feel cheated if we didn't get a tie break here, Gruskin.
A little bit wide there. I'll agree with you, Chris, and quote myself as well. I always like to hear myself being quoted. So, yeah, it would feel like we are going to get robbed of a tiebreak here. 6 match points fought off for the Trojans. If you're Solokian and Goldberg, how many of those have been off of missed returns or unforced errors? But you still got one more shot here.
No, I was going to say, no way they stay I formation second, sir.
I would have done it. Unbelievable hands from Matt Solokian. Why are you playing 1 up, 1 back when you can do that, Matty? And the Bruins take a much-needed doubles point, 7-5 here at number 3. They take the number 2 and 3 doubles positions, and they'll lead 1-0, Chris, at the halfway mark of this match. Now, of course, we're going to take a quick break, stretch our legs, hit the bathroom, do what we got to do. But Chris, before we go, your reaction, Bruins up 1-0.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely didn't see that coming, but we didn't think it was out of the question either. And it's what we needed if we wanted to see a really competitive match. I mean, it keeps UCLA alive. Highly unlikely and very difficult for them to steal 4 of these singles matches, given the lineup. Yeah, this is exactly what they needed, what we needed for a competitive match. It should definitely make the start of singles play that much more interesting.
No, absolutely. We have a battle on our hands. And as I said, Chris, things never go according to script when 2 rivals end up on the courts. UCLA, not the favorite by any stretch of the imagination, yet they come to USC, take the doubles point, take a 1-0 lead into the singles portion of the match. Again, we will be back shortly with the start of our singles action. We're going to stretch our legs, make sure everything is set. We'll be back hard 7:10, but maybe even sooner than that. We hope you stick with us. But for now, you have been watching our Cracked Racquets Redzone coverage of the 2021 ITA Kickoff Weekend. Coming in at number 8 on our Cracked Racquets preseason poll is Stanford University. Stanford secured the number 1 incoming recruiting class this past offseason, and head coach Paul Goldstein will be looking to mix in his talented newcomers with some experienced veteran players in 2021. That combination could prove to be lethal this season, as Stanford looks to be set up for one of their best seasons in recent memory. As one of the more experienced teams in the nation, Coach Goldstein's group won't be fazed by anything thrown their way this spring, and should have a chance to do something really special in Palo Alto. Combining all of their experience with the most talented freshman class in college tennis makes the Cardinal one of the most dangerous college tennis contenders on our list. Examining the roster. Will Jennison is back for one more ride in his 5th year in Palo Alto, but seniors Axel Geller, Timothy Sa, and Sam Turchetta also return as experienced players for Coach Goldstein. Geller has been one of the country's standout players ever since he stepped foot on campus at Stanford. The former number 1 junior in the world has both racked up the accolades and produced over and over again in both singles and doubles throughout his college career. The 2019 All-American struggled a bit last year, going just 3-4 in dual matches, but should be coming back refreshed and ready to get to his old form this spring. The continued growth of Timothy Sa has also been crucial for the Cardinal. He was able to make an immediate impact in doubles as a freshman, but has since solidified himself in the middle and lower parts of the team's lineup. He was the team's co-leader in victories with 23 as a sophomore. He will be tasked with leading their talented newcomers. Of course, it's not just seniors Coach Goldstein has returning to his Stanford lineup. Juniors Alex Rodstad and Sangeet Sridhar and sophomores Philip Kolazinski and Neil Rajesh have all contributed to the lineup during their time in Palo Alto and will be counted on to do just the same in 2021. Of course, it's impossible to talk about this Stanford team without getting into their recruiting class. Coach Goldstein and his staff did a fantastic job bringing in freshmen Tristan Boyer, Arthur Ferry, Alex Lee, and Ayan Chaudhary to his team. These guys all have the ability to contribute immediately and will no doubt be the nucleus of their team over the next several seasons. And while all 4 players were coveted recruits, Boyer has to be the most prized possession. He was the number 1 recruit in the country for 3 straight years and achieved a career high of number 8 in the junior world rankings. For the Cardinal to go the places we think they can, it will be on guys like Boyer and Ferry to contribute immediately as freshmen and help this Stanford team rejoin the tier of elite programs in college tennis. Possible lineups. To be honest, the Stanford lineups will be nearly impossible to predict,
as we don't know exactly how the freshmen are going to fit in right away. How many of them will be in the lineup? How high will they play? Do they factor into doubles at all? These are all questions that Coach Goldstein will need to determine throughout his 2021 season. We would assume no matter what happens that Axel Geller will likely remain the number one option. He's experienced, has played at the highest level, and proven to be one of the best players in the country when he's in form. While Rostard has played well at the number 2 position through his first few seasons, it would not shock us to see him bump down a bit in the lineup with Boyer and Ferry joining the mix. We see Geller, Rostard, Sridhar, and Sa all maintaining their positions, with freshmen Boyer and Ferry joining them in the starting 6. Of course, these are just our projections, and it will be fascinating to watch the lineup dynamics unfold in Palo Alto throughout the season. What's achievable? Quite simply, the Cardinals have the chance to compete for and win the Pac-12 conference, and that should be the goal. There is absolutely no reason to think that Stanford can't be crowned conference champs when it's all said and done. Of course, there are other teams like USC and UCLA that will have something to say about it, but Coach Goldstein's team will be right at the top throughout the course of the season. To be honest, this is the most we've liked a Stanford team in a long, long time. They just seem to have all of the ingredients that make up an elite, contending squad. Do they have enough experience and veterans on the roster? Absolutely. Do they have enough depth to withstand any injuries or illness? Of course. Do they have great coaching? You bet on it. Do they have talented, young newcomers to help fill in any gaps? Oh, I don't know. They just brought in the number 1 recruiting class in the nation. Again, Stanford has always been a premier college tennis program, a university that combines top-notch academics with
Brackets Redzone coverage of the 2021 ITA Kickoff Weekend. We have our match of the week. It's a doozy on our hands, a rivalry match between the USC Trojans and the UCLA Bruins. Of course, the Trojans, number 1 preseason team in the country, number 1 individual singles and doubles players on their roster. Yet they find themselves down 1-0 heading into singles. Chris, the Bruins shocking the Trojans, taking the doubles point by getting wins at the number 2 and 3 positions. Their depth shining through in doubles. Your reaction to all of that as we head into singles play here, and you see on your screen the number 1 matchup between Kucherman and Smith.
I mean, look, I'm excited. I want competitive matches. I felt the best way to get a competitive match here was going to be for UCLA to win that doubles point. So I'm hoping that means we're in for a good one. I think hopefully we get a good day ahead of us here.
And as we see them changing over here on court number 1 with Smith up 1-0, let's go to court number 2 if we can. Westhoff going to be an interesting matchup there between Riley Smith and Ben Goldberg. Let's go to court number 3 if we can now for the matchup you see there on your screen between Stefan Dostanic, Stam Fiat. Let's go to court number 4, where on our hands we have Bradley Fry taking on Roscoe Bellamy. On court 5, Ryder Jackson gets to see the man who just beat him in doubles, Matt Solokian. And then on court 6, it's Ludwig Vestrate taking on Eric Hahn. Now that we know the doubles point is in the Bruins' pocket, let's start there, Chris. If they are going to pull off this upset, what is the match calculus?
I think, like we said before, it's got to be probably 1 and 6, and then either 4 or 5, whichever one they can manage to whoever can step up and have the good match. It's going to be tough to beat Riley Smith at 2 and Stefan Dostanic at 3. I think for these guys, obviously it's college tennis, anything's possible, but most likely scenario, 1, 6, and grab 4 or 5.
You look at the UTR breakdowns, the UTRs that are closest for the Bruins, that number 1 position where Keegan Smith 0.15 underdog against Kucherman, but of course that's a toss-up. And let's go back to court 1 Westhoff after we see if Westrate can hold here. But Kucherman minus 0.15, Smith a 0.52 favorite, Dostanic 0.7, Fry 0.67, Jackson 0.67, Westrate 0.45. So yeah, even if we concede, Chris, the closest two UTRs to the Bruins, they're going to have to overcome some 0.5 gaps. And UTR isn't the end all be all, particularly this early in the season. But if you're looking for the recipe for the Trojans, Chris, to finish this match up quickly, that's it, right? Win the 2 through 5 positions, win the middle of the lineup, get off the board with a 4-1 win.
Yeah, definitely the quickest path for them. And we say that only because we know that's a battle at the top. So you can't expect to be getting out of there quick. And then B, we don't know a lot about the freshman Westrate, so we don't know what we're going to see there. He may very well come out and show us that he's the real deal and he takes his match down quick, but we don't know. So for them, I'd say the proven guys 2 through 5, best chance of getting out of there quick.
By the way, Keegan Smith here on your screen, 30-15 early break lead for him over the Kookie Monster. Again, these are two of the ITA preseason top 5 players in the country. Boy, we have a fun one on our hand, particularly a fun contrast of styles. Of course, worth noting, some other action going on right now. The UCLA women 4-0 winners over Texas A&M. And Chris, I gave this spiel to all of our listeners on one of our podcasts, on our Deciding Point episode, I should say, as well earlier today. But you look at the top 4 in women's tennis this year: UNC, Pepperdine, Texas, UCLA. We have some really special teams on our hand in the women's game, and I would argue it's perhaps it's just as wide open as the men's field, despite how good UNC looks.
Right. I mean, I was going to say, you and I have had this argument many times, right? People want to say, wow, the best women's team we've ever seen. And I say, yes, I know UTRs are messed up right now, but even with a little bit of being messed up, do yourself a favor and go out and look up the UTRs for the college women's teams. UNC is 3rd right now, over a full point behind Pepperdine. You got Pepperdine, Texas, UNC. I mean, obviously that's not to say UNC isn't the best team, but it's not like they're runaway crazy better than everybody else. That's the point. So yeah, there's some great women's team in the game this year.
And the good news is we should get to see all 4 teams at the national indoors, assuming health is able, God willing, they all stay healthy until that event. So we'll get to see them all go at it. It's going to be really interesting in the men's field, though, Chris, because we had 5 teams we thought were national championship contenders this season. Now it looks like UNC is a lock to go to the national indoors, but 4 out of those other 5 teams, Chris, Wake Forest, they're out. They got eliminated. Ohio State out, lost to Virginia at home. Baylor, who knows what's going to happen with Texas A&M, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, more again here on this singles portion of the stream. But then, you look at the number 5 team, USC, they're down the doubles point. We think they're going to end up there, but, who knows what's going to happen still. I mean, is the national indoors just going to be a coronation? Like, what do we think of the field that's shaping out for the event going down in Champaign?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, Alex, I'll just be happy that it happens. I mean, that's honestly, I just want to get there, especially knowing that it's being hosted at Illinois and the Big Ten already is, they're not even allowed to play anybody but Big Ten. So getting a bunch of other schools in there other than the Big Ten and getting this event to go, I'll be super happy if we get the event to happen at Illinois. So beyond that, I mean, hey, the teams that won, Florida, they lost fair and square to Texas. Ohio State, Virginia took them down at home with a bunch of freshmen. So let's give those teams their chance to shine. I want to see some more of them.
Mm-hmm. You see on your screen 2-1 now here for Dostanic. Let's go west up to court 4. We're on serve between Fry and Bellamy. And on your near side of your screen, it is Bradley Fry serving. Right now, only 2 breaks, I should say, have happened in the match. Ryder Jackson 2-0 up for USC at number 5. Keegan Smith a break 2-1 up at number 1. So early on here, but yeah, I mean, Look, is it going to be fun to see what this Virginia team can do on the national stage, particularly given the way they started their season? Of course, is it going to be fun to see teams like Tennessee, Illinois, this young Texas team in the mix as well? By the way, I should have said Virginia and Texas in the same breath. Those are two teams 2 years from now we're going to be talking about as national championship contenders. To have them get a shot at, potentially the Tar Heels, the Trojans, an experienced TCU team this early in their campaigns. That's obviously going to be great for those programs long term. But I mean, maybe the story of this opening weekend, Chris, short of TCU, who made everything look businesslike, is probably the parity. Even UNC didn't look great today in their matchup against South Carolina. Got tested at a couple of singles positions. Obviously, Baylor beats Michigan 4-0, but that was a match that was about 15 minutes away from being 4-2 and coming down to a third 3-all and coming down to a third set at the number 5 singles position where the players had traded 7-6 sets. And it's just like no one except for maybe Virginia looked dominant at all this weekend. Everyone looked vulnerable. Everyone seemed to have weaknesses. And yet everyone also seemed so talented. The quality of play was so high. Is that the name of the game here in 2021? It's going to be about parity and funky results?
Well, I don't know how it's not, right? I mean, we've got all these teams with, more than 4.5 scholarships. So you've got all teams with extra players, if you will, because they got to come back from last year. And then you've got the fact that you're going to have, maybe it's only one guy, maybe it's 3 guys. It doesn't take much to upset a lineup. You take one guy out of doubles and all of a sudden you're shifting positions. Yeah, I expect to see lots of funky results, going on during the year. So definitely, probably more so than ever, super high level, given all the extra scholarship players this year. And then definitely a year for some funky results.
3-game point now here for Bradley Fry as he tries to stay on serve here, 2-1. He gets the whole, serve was out. I always love a little confusion. After this, we'll go back to court number 1. Keegan Smith in a 30-all game. We'll see here.
You got to like when you hit the lob and you're already fist pumping when the ball's barely over the net.
So he gets the hold. So now we are back on Kucherman and Smith. Keegan Smith 40-30, but a little bit of trouble in the service game. But let's watch Keegan Smith for a little bit, Chris, because who has ever watched Keegan Smith and come away not happy with that decision?
The only thing I can say is I just wish it was indoors. I mean, it's that much more impressive watching that. I remember you and I at North Carolina for the NCAAs, as when they were at Wake, but half of the matches in the first round were played over at North Carolina, and I just said, first time I've ever really gotten to see Keegan Smith play, and indoors it was unbelievable. The guy hits the ball 500 miles an hour.
Yeah, but that was freshman Keegan Smith, too.
I know.
That was in his rawest form of just untapped personality. Obviously now Keegan, veteran of the college tennis world, has gotten better and better during his time for the Bruins. That freshman year team, NCAA semifinalists. You think back on that lineup, Chris, Redlicki, Smith. I think Cressy was playing 5 singles.
I was going to say Max Cressy at 5.
Yeah. Who else was on that team? 2 hands. Logan, not Zapp, but Logan Staggs. Logan Staggs was on that team.
Yeah.
Austin Rapp was on that team. Evan Zhu was on that team.
Yeah, Redlicki and Zhu was the doubles team, right?
Yeah. They beat the Trojans in the NCAA quarterfinals that year, Chris. Cressy played 5 on that team. Let's bask in that for a hot sec.
That's sick. What is he now, like 160 in the world?
Yeah, well, you'll remember my Wolverines played the Bruins in that round of 16 match, and I think it was Carter Lynn playing Cressy, and I was like, okay, that's a potential win for the Wolverines. I was like, if Lynn can just make enough first balls. Of course, then they went indoors, and it was much less of a win. Now he's a challenger champion. Yeah, top 200 in the world. Beautiful lob by Kucherman, by the way, who had some success himself on the pro circuit this summer. That's so nice from Daniel Kucherman. Rips the forehand passing shot, so now he'll have 2 game points. It says Stefan Dostanic already won his first set 6-2. If that's the case, okay, there we go. Scoreboard correction, 2-all there on Dostanic fight. 2-all in Fry Bellamy. 2-1 now, Hahn, the break of West straight at 6, Chris. So there you go. 1-6, still break leads now for the Bruins. Down a break at 5, on serve at 2 through 4. Is this going to be one of those matches where we actually have the calculus correct?
God, that can't ever happen.
Yeah, there'll be something fucking going down. By the way, Scotty B chiming in, saying you think last year was crazy in terms of the transfer portal. Imagine next year when there will be more chaos as teams are reduced back down to their scholarship limitations. Chris, Scotty B nailed it. There are going to be kids on the market, and you hate to say it like that because it's a terrible way to phrase an athletic scholarship. And of course, the opportunities for these student athletes to compete in collegiate tennis means the world to all of them. We know the perspective, yada, yada, yada. Enough lip service. Let's get to the question. It will be the wild, wild west come the offseason.
Oh, no question. And for folks that don't know, what's happening there, everybody from last year was granted an extra year of eligibility. So it didn't matter whether you were a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you all got an extra year. Now, what the NCAA did was they gave the seniors that extra year without counting against the scholarship limit. So these kids that come back this year that were seniors last year, the team can have 4.5. And if you had 3 seniors, and let's just say for the sake of argument that your 3 seniors were all full scholarship guys, they were getting 3 of your 4.5, you could have 7.5 scholarships this year realistically. But next year, those younger 3 years, all of the underclassmen from last year that get the extra year, they can still come back, but they now count against the scholarship limit. So it's going to be tough between fighting that as well as schools just fighting school policy. And some schools just didn't want to pay this year out of their own pocket for that extra year. And so that's why you saw a lot of the transfers this year. But next year, just getting people under the scholarship limit. And the people that are really paying for a lot of that, unfortunately, here are the high school kids, because there's just over a 4-year period now that many fewer spots on college rosters for the high school kids because everybody got to stick around for that extra year. So it's a little tougher for them to get in. It's a little tougher to find playing time just because you've got these stacked rosters. But yeah, the transfer portal undoubtedly going to be littered with guys whose teams don't have the room for them and need to go find somewhere else to play if they want to continue playing another year.
And of course, these rankings will change, but Tennis Recruiting released the top men's classes for 2021. Some of the names at the top of the list, very, very notable. You see number 1, these UCLA Bruins, who are going to lose guys like Ben Goldberg and a couple of others as well, finally off the roster. They've got 3 kids coming in, 2 of them blue chips, 1 of them from overseas, I think number 37 in the ITF rankings. The number 2 team, Chris, right now in the men's recruiting class, Alabama. George Husak bringing in, I believe, 3 kids from abroad and then a blue chip himself, the number 3 class. My Michigan Wolverines right now, number 4, Florida, number 5, Florida State. Here are some other nuggets for you, Chris. San Diego right now, number 9 in the recruiting rankings. You've also got in Ivy League schools, Princeton, Yale, 2 Ivy Leagues, and Columbia, 3 Ivy League teams inside the top 25 of the rankings. Teams not appearing right now, notably inside the top 25. You don't see the USC Trojans. You don't see the North Carolina Tar Heels. You don't see the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. You don't see the Baylor Bears either. And obviously those are old teams. Those are teams that are going to lose a bunch of seniors or a bunch of fifth-year guys probably after this season. And you just wonder, because there will be so many fourth years who may no longer have spots on their team on the roster, a lot of these teams are positioning themselves to be in a position to take advantage of that.
Yeah, there's no question. It's always tough with these early rankings. The teams that have the commits, for sure, they're not going away, so that's a great class. The ones that maybe don't have them shown yet, yeah, they just may not have, either they've got some guys and they're not showing committed, or they're still working on guys. I'm never going to worry about the fact that USC is going to get top recruits.
No, of course, and we see here on the changeover, West Strait now got the break back, but 2 more break points down here at court 6. And of course, yeah, you look for USC. They may lose a guy like Riley Smith next year, but I believe they'll bring back Kucherman for 1 more year. If he wants to come back, they'll have everyone else back as well. Their roster going to hold up just fine, by the way. But yeah, it is worth noting. And deuce point here. Number 6. Looks like Bradley Fry's taking a break lead at the number 4 position. Everywhere else, scoreboard staying relatively stagnant. So it looked like West Strait held, Chris, for a 3-2 lead. We're back on court 1 now. Kookie Monster seems to have held for 3-4. Or, excuse me, he's got 3 game points now to hold for 3-4. He did a fake out there, walking to clear a ball, not go to the changeover. I think if you're USC, looking for a minimum of 3 first sets. If you're UCLA, 3 first sets would be an absolute blessing here.
Well, I think if you're USC, you're looking for at least 4. You don't want to think to yourself, you've got to go play a 3-setter to win. So
yeah, but you're probably thinking there's gonna be a 3-setter, right? There's always at least one.
Yeah, almost always, but you certainly don't want to have to force yourself into one to win the match. You want to give yourself the option or the chance to win them in straight. So yeah, so for USC, you want 4. For UCLA, you want at least 3.
Mm-hmm. And we see here deuce point now for Kucherman. If we can, Westhoff, quickly peek on court 3. Believe Dostanic has a break point here now. 30-42 break points. Up 3-2. We've talked about how important the young sophomore is. Someone I think can really make a jump here during this 2021 season. See the transfer from Gonzaga. Someone we're going to be counting on at UCLA to contribute. Dostanic break. Let's go back to court 1 if we can quickly, see if we missed that point or not. Looks like we did, and it looks like it went to Daniel Kucherman. So 4-3 there. Let's go to court 2. Check in on the battle between a couple of fifth-year guys, Riley Smith, Ben Goldberg, college tennis veterans. If you're watching this Redzone stream on a Monday night, you've watched them play at least one college tennis match during their careers. Goldberg going to scrap, going to claw, fight his way. Every point, Riley Smith just going to hit that ball through you. Goldberg again serving here, 30-15, 3-all. This is one of those critical first sets. Still nothing decided, and we know the old adage, nothing really matters until it's 4-all in the first set. These guys are looking on a pathway to that, Chris. By the way, I hope all of you are hearing the sounds of these matches as well. Spirited crowd, considering it's just the teams there, Chris. And you just love all of these players getting amped up for this rivalry match.
Yeah, I've been a little impressed at going around the various sites that we've been able to see the streams from this weekend to hear the level of noise still present even without fans in attendance. It's been nice, because that's one of the beautiful things about college tennis is all of the, not just the fan interaction, but the noise and the kids, the players themselves making a lot of noise on the court. The other thing, we'll have to give super producer Westoff here free reign at some point to show. I would love for him to show one of the things that I have loved this weekend. The play site guys who were rebroadcasting their feed, thanks to them, have a really cool feature where you can do a multi-court view. 2's a little odd, works really good with 4 or 6, especially if you've got a split monitor. Getting the 4-court view is actually outstanding.
As the witching hour approaches, we can get maybe courts 2, 4, 5. We'll start to line them up. I like that as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. I do want to see this game here, though, because Riley Smith now 2 break points of Goldberg, and we talked about it. This is probably one of those matches your coach may see.
Yeah, you're absolutely counting on this match.
What does Goldberg do here to hurt Smith?
Oh. Goldberg called it out, overruled. Not happy.
Not happy at all. It was tough to tell from here, Chris.
Yeah, we couldn't tell. I'm noticing, I get they've probably been doing this everywhere. I'm going to guess. I haven't really noticed it until now. They're doing, making sure that on the same court, changeovers on opposite sides of the net.
And if we could, Westoff, let's go back to court number 1. Keegan Smith serving up 4-3. 30-15. I mean, you never count Daniel Kucherman out of a set, but Keegan Smith is just thus far here in this first set. I imagine getting broken twice in doubles, probably not something he's accustomed to. Seems like that may have angered him a bit heading into singles.
Yeah, you can tell. You just saw even on that point there, he's amped and ready to go. Was jumping, knowing that he hit that volley just long. Never short of excitement, though, Keegan Smith.
30 all here on court 1.
Overcooks the forehand there.
That has always been part of the Keegan Smith experience. There is going to be the occasional forehand that a little too close to that back fence. Still 30-40 now in this Keegan Smith service game. So 2 break chances for Kucherman to get back on serve.
Little technical difficulty on my side. Lost my feed. I'm still with you. Lost the video. I'll have to get that back.
Looks like that forehand was indeed a bit wide. Smith checked to the chair umpire to confirm she does. 4 all here on court number 1. Big push for the Trojans. Let's look now elsewhere where we're at in the scoreboard. Oh, Westoff, if we can, let's go to court 3 right now as Stefan Dostanic 2 set points. Up 6-2, up 5-2, 40 now on Sam Fiat. Other court where it's 5-2 right now is Ryder Jackson at the number 5 position. We'll be monitoring that. Looks like Dostanic gets the break for the set. So now, Westoff, let's go to court 5, where, in fact, Ryder Jackson 5-2, 15 all on court 5. And you see here Ryder Jackson looking to close things out. 15-30 now in the Salokian service game. excuse me, it looks like it's Ryder Jackson serving up 30-15, so maybe the score ticker a little bit off. I have to check that out. Again, currently,
I told you a backboard.
40-15 now, triple set point for Ryder Jackson. That's 2 first sets on the boards for the Trojans, folks. Stefan Dostanic, 6-2 at court 3. Ryder Jackson, 6-2 at court 5. Let's go next to Bradley Fry on court 4, Westhoff, if we can. Fry currently 40-15 up in the service game, it looks like, of Roscoe Bellamy. So again, the score ticker a little bit off there, but Bellamy does have 3 break chances here. So it looks like Fry gets broken there as that ball sailed a little bit long on him. So we're going to assume it's 5-3 Fry. It is indeed. Scoreboard changes. So now Fry a game away from putting a 3rd first set on the board. Riley Smith, by the way, 5-3 up on Ben Goldberg. Westhoff, if you want to click live on that play site stream, it may be a little bit behind right now. Yeah, caught up. So here we see Love 15. Bellamy trying to get back on serve. Fry trying to serve it out. Jumping court to court here as these sets get closer to finishing. Looks like Keegan Smith broke Kucherman right back as it's 5-4 Smith on court 1. So a bit of good news if you're a Bruins fan there. A bit of bad news for the Bruins, though. Eric Hahn was up a break early on Westrate. Westrate now back on serve, up 4-3 and up Love 30 in the Hahn service game. We saw yesterday from the Trojans, they took all 6 first sets against UNLV. But the volley's a little overcooked there from Bradley Fry. So now 15-30 Bellamy. Westhoff, if we can go to court 2. Double set point for Riley Smith. Looks like he puts that one away. So 6-3 set for Smith. That's set number 3 for the Trojans. Let's go back to court 4. We're again 5-3. 15-30. Actually, let's go to court 6, Westhoff, if we can quickly. Breakpoint chances for Westrate. 3 of them here, 4-3, 15-40. So the only first set where the Bruins up a break right now is the number 1 position, where Keegan Smith is serving for the set, and we'll jump there as he gets close to the finish line. We know that Keegan Smith's service games, no matter how long they are, points-wise, never going to go longer than 3 minutes. Looks like we have a deuce point coming up now here. Triple break point for Fry, for Bellamy, by the way, on Fry. So we'll jump back to court 4 after this point.
Oh, mama!
Fry gets the break for 5-3. Let's go back to court 4. Bellamy now chances to break serve. 2 of them here. I mean, that's just a really good +1 ball from Bradley Fry to fight off one. He played fearless during that doubles as well. Now here, deuce point. Bethany, one of the winners for the Bruins against Cal. Love the late switch there. That's gamesmanship at its finest, folks. He felt the breeze of the wind. He said, let's try the ad side. Ball don't lie if you're Bradley Fry. I had to say that because of the rhyme. Unintentional, but it works. Fry holds, gives the Trojans another set, 6-3. Let's go back to court 6 Westhoff, where it's Ludwig Vestrate, newcomer for the Trojans, serving for the set, 5-3. Trojans 4 first sets in the bag. Actually, let's go to court 1 Westhoff if we can. Triple break point right now for the Kookie Monster. As Keegan Smith tries to serve out his first set, put at least 1 set on the board for the Bruins. Tough start for them. We talked about it earlier. No Govind Nanda, no Drew Baird, no Zaraj, no Hance. End of these first sets have really felt those absences if you're a Bruins fan. It's a nice serve from Keegan Smith, though, to erase one of them. We'll scoreboard watch at 6 in case Westrate gets to a set point. 2 more break point chances for one player in the country, Daniel Kucherman. But Keegan Smith can do that, folks. Westhoff, if you'll hit live real quick, just make sure. Okay, it's my stream that's behind you. Nice.
Kucherman never phased. Missed the one and just didn't even move. Said, nope, you're coming right back here.
Kookie Monster going to do what he's going to do. So now deuce point. Set on the board for the Bruins. Big yell from Keegan Smith. Let's go back to court 6, Westhoff. Our final first set still going on. Believe we're at 30 all right now. But it looks like the scoreboard. No, scoreboard was a bit behind. So that's 5 first sets for the Trojans. Let's go to court 3 Westhoff. Watch a little bit of this Dostanic-Sam fight battle. But it is, Chris, 45 minutes into singles. Trojans get first sets at the 2 through 6 singles position. Keegan Smith taking his first set over Kucherman. This is more the script we expected to see play out.
Yeah, I mean, from both sides, really. I mean, we expected to see USC be able to take advantage of a shorthanded lineup. And we said, hey, if UCLA wants to put the fight up, it's got to be at 1. They got that. You try to pick on the freshman at 6, didn't go so well. And then, find one, probably 4 or 5, and they haven't been able to find one yet. But, it's still, if they can get Keegan to close his out, that's 2. And they've just got to get at least 2 of those other matches. They've 5 shots. Got to get 2 of them into a third set. It's not over yet.
No, and it's still, again, most of these second sets now underway. Only one with a game on the scoreboard. Excuse me, now Jackson up 1-0, but it is Dostanic fight here. Furthest in the match, 1-all. You look at this UCLA team, Chris, when they do have Nanda, Baird, Siraj, Hance to add to who we see on court today. Look, they're in a conference with the #1 team in the country, and obviously they've got a really young Stanford team in that group as well. But where do you see this UCLA team in the mix in the Pac-12, and then where do you see them competing nationally as well?
Yeah, right there. They're right where you put them. They're 3rd behind USC and Stanford in the Pac-12. I don't think there's any question that they're out in front of the rest of that pack, and trying to get on a level with those teams is going to be tough. But on any given day, when you've got the doubles teams they've got, and you've got Keegan Smith at 1, Govind Nanda at 2, you're a step away from a 3-0 lead, and you just got to find another one, so they can beat anybody. But over the long haul, yeah, I think they're behind USC, behind Stanford, and nationally, I put them kind of in, as of right now, in that 15 to 20 range, which means they're kind of battling to try to be one of those teams hosting, should the format be the same this year, battling to host one of those round of 16, or, I take it back, the first and second rounds, the 16 host sites for the first and second round of the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I think my favorite iteration of this was we're going to win Gojo, Sokos, Mansuri, and then literally just find one more point. But UCLA was the slightly worse version, right? The 0.85 version of that in 2019, where it was, Cressy's 1, Smith is 2, Nanda's 3. Smith and Cressy at the number 1 doubles position is halfway to the doubles point. Now, for the love of God, can we just find a 4th point? And the answer for that team was it was good enough for them to get to the round of 16. Now, they couldn't quite get to the quarterfinals, but just on that talent alone, it was a good season. Bruins last year, 9-4. Things ended, barely avoided getting triple crowned at the national indoors. I believe they just avoided it by beating NC State, if memory serves me correctly, in that final match. But I mean, Smith is 1 point. Nanda in a lot of matches is 2 points. They do have some nice depth, though, Chris. Again, I think Baird, Zaraj, all of these guys. Yep. Obviously, you get a guy like Ben Goldberg at 5 and 6, 9 out of 10 matches. That's a great option. I don't know if they're a top 8 team, but definitely top 16.
You'd like to think so. I mean, and they should have depth. You talk about that 2019 team. Even I want to say it was kickoff weekend. Connor Hance breaks his ankle, and that ends. He was a guy that was going to be in there and goes down. That was a rough one for them. And he's still there. Don't know how that rehab is gone and what kind of shape he's in. But yeah,
West, let's go to court 1. No, sorry. Yeah, no, they've definitely got a bunch of options. Yeah, no, I mean, especially look again. Right now, you've got Goldberg at 2, Fiat at 3. Roscoe Bellamy has held up well at the number 4 position 2 matches in, but this is not the lineup to expect from the Bruins come May. And I just think this is not a team that should be slept on. If they stole a match against a Stanford team who it doesn't seem like it's going to get a lot of practice time, Chris, they might literally go from, your season starts March 1st. Now try and play as much tennis as you can in the next 2 months to get yourselves ready for the NCAA tournament. This team just has a lot of experience, a lot of guys who have played a lot of college tennis matches. And in a year with so much uncertainty, that matters.
Yeah, definitely. They are definitely the kind of team that could just jump up and bite you, even if you're a top 5 team. I mean, there's no way with a full lineup from UCLA that you're going to walk in and think, we're, no problem. We beat these guys today. Even USC's not thinking that. They know they're in for a dogfight when they play.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that dogfight, let's go now to court number 3, West stuff, where we've got a Dostanic fight, Fiat 30 love lead in his service game. But I want to watch the talented Dostanic a little bit, Chris. You know my fascination with his ball striking ability.
I think it's just the fact that you get to keep rubbing in that you said he was going to play 3 all year.
Well, no, I just think that the top 4 of him, I mean, is there a world where Riley Smith ends the year at number 4 singles for the Trojans? Yes. And I think that's a crazy thing to have in your back pocket if you're Coach Macy.
Yeah, that would be sick.
But it's not impossible, right? Bullis was a top 20 player last year. Dostanic is for real.
No, it's not impossible at all, especially when you're talking outdoors. I mean, clearly Riley Smith's game better suited for indoors than it is outdoors, right? If that's what Coach Macy wanted to do, it's very likely that it's legit, or at best a toss-up, and he could easily play. I mean, no doubt Bullis could be number 2. And now can Dostanic play 3 over Riley outdoors? By the end of the year, that's very possible.
I would just put Riley wherever Kyle Seelig is in the Ohio State lineup. We are guaranteeing that's the matchup we get because, A, a battle between 2 fifth years, B, obviously you take that matchup. And again, that diss Riley Smith's game style. That's to speak of how high I think of both Dostanic and Bullis as well, who are just, again, the way they strike the ball, the way they move around the court. They can do so many different things outdoors. It's not as power reliant, I suppose, as Riley Smith, though again, a top gear for Riley Smith works pretty damn well for him as a college tennis player. We did see Fiat hold, by the way, so 2-all here in the second set on court 3. By the way, courts 5 and 6 for the Trojans. Now 6-2, 2-0 lead for Ryder Jackson. 6-3, 2-0 lead for Ludwig Vestrate. We'll stick here for a hot second. Team love now for the freshman. I mean, just look at the way he strikes that forehand, Chris.
I like that play, Matt.
As someone who can't hit forehands well, that's all I've ever wanted.
I mean, I think I could go down a list of a lot of things he's got that you want, but I mean, the forehand's just one of them.
Air.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just the start. Just a start.
The love and affection of Coach Macy.
Well, that's something that's never coming your way.
You cannot love 6-6. This doesn't work.
But props to you for getting him on as the surprise guest. That was classic.
I didn't even have to do anything. He was like, "We're coming on," and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, you have to send me the email link, please." I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, Coach. I'll do that right away."
A little disappointed Coach Quinto wouldn't pop into the video there. He was right on the side.
I'm fairly certain they both have headphones in right now and are listening to the broadcast. So, come on, Coach. Evidently, what you were telling Dostanic and Fry, or Dostanic and Jackson at the end of that 3 doubles match was not working. But here you see Dostanic 3 game points for 3-2.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll work. For Stefan Dostanic, 2-1 he holds, or excuse me, 3-2 he holds now on court number 3. Let's go back, if we can, West up to court number 1. I believe it's 40 Love Kookie Monster. Now 40-15 after that error. He looks to stay on serve here in set number 2. Really fun contrast of styles, Chris. And I think the thing that always, again, jumps out for Smith, yeah, we talk about it's great to see him indoors. His power transcends outdoor tennis as well, too. He's one of those guys who just, it's top tier. And for his size to move as well as he does, I think that's why so many people have been so excited about his game throughout his career.
Yeah, I mean, you see that from him, and you see that from his former teammate and doubles partner Max Cressy, right? I know you and I have talked off air. It's funny that we look at Cressy going to play clay court tournaments, and you think, okay, Cressy's the serve and volley guy. Like, oh, put him on clay. Forget. And next thing you know, like couple tournaments and challengers, he's in the semifinals. You're like, what? Cressy on clay? You never would have thought it. But yeah, it's not just that one-dimensional, got to be fast, hard courts, or I'm done.
And we'll see here, deuce point now for Daniel Kucherman. Game got a little bit more complicated than he expected. Break point chance for Dostanic, by the way, on 3 as well. Don't think
Keegan looking for anybody that saw that ball, and then he realized, there are no fans.
Don't think he loved that call. Tough
Still
to tell
talking.
from here in Indy.
Still talking.
That's half the fun of Keegan Smith, folks.
Turn the volume up, Alex. I want to hear. Yeah, I don't have the volume on, so clearly right at the camera he was still talking. Don't know what he said.
He said, Alex, what do you think? Tough to call, Keegan. Far sideline.
Yeah. I hate to ruin it for him, but Alex is never going to give an overrule from behind the court.
Whoa, are you kidding? I love overruling, except for when it's to a coach's face.
Yeah.
When I get to be, when it's partisan. The problem is now I can never go to a Michigan fan as like an incognito fan anymore. Well, maybe that's thinking a little too highly of myself, but I do feel like these coaches now, like I can't, if it's Texas A&M versus Michigan, Denton's going to be like, I recognize those eyebrows anywhere. And I'm gonna be like, no.
He's not asking you, that's for sure.
I'd be like, sorry, I'm his twin brother, Felix. Never met Alex, but sounds like a good guy. So we see here Smith 2-1, Kucherman, 2-1 up. By the way, Dostanich was a scoreboard error. He's 40-15 down now. It is 3-1 Jackson, 3-0 Vestrate at 6. Let's go to court 6, Westhoff, if we can watch a little bit of the freshman, Ludwig Vestrate. Deuce point now between he and Hahn. You hear a Trojan roar in the background if you're listening to the stream.
Good hold from Vestrate there.
A nice one indeed. And so he holds now for love at the number 6 singles position. Looks like he's closest to the finish line right now. Right behind him, Ryder Jackson, 6'2", 3-1 up at number 5. Man, you're looking at the match calculus here, Chris. The pathway gets more and more narrow for the Bruins as time carries on.
Yeah. Trying to figure out how we get to a third set match that actually matters here. It's not
maybe Bellamy and Fry. Maybe if Sam Fight can take that second set at court 3. Now at least you force them, because remember, USC lost the doubles point. So all UCLA has to do is stay alive in 3 matches to keep this match going. USC can get a couple of quick wins on the board, but they need 4 quick wins to box out the Bruins.
Well, they've got the 1 set in Keegan, so that's 1 that's alive no matter what. So they've just got to find at least 2 second sets here on courts 2 through 6.
Feels like this is a perfect Ben Goldberg moment. The question is, can they get one down below? Bradley Fry in a bit of trouble in his service game, Westhoff. Let's go there now. Court number 4. Fry 15-30 down. Very early in set number 2 here. Worth monitoring this service game for the Trojan. All right, we're going to try something funky here. We're going to go 4 cameras wide. Westhoff, we've got a couple of matches right now in interesting positions. So if you can set up the quad cam, let's focus on the back half of this lineup. Let's go 3, 4, 5, 6. The positions, if you're a Trojan fan, you think with our depth, with our strength, we can sweep the bottom of this lineup. We're going to try and go 4 wide on the play site. Westhoff will let us know when he's ready. You all can let me know when you see it in the comments. We're live, folks. 4 screens wide. What's it called? The quad box, I believe is the Sunday term for it. We're 4 wide here, bottom half of the lineup. My sensations are tingling. There's no denying that. By the way, looks like Stanich broken at the number 3 position. Was he broken? Are they on serve there? Unclear, but 4-3 UCLA there. Deuce point right now on court number 4. Can we keep this open, but just go to number 4 right now in the meantime? Just stick on just a 4 zoom. Court 4. I think we're on. Oh, we're on 4?
Yep.
Okay, I see. Beautiful. So court 4 right now, deuce point. You know things are tight, Chris, when the slice forehand comes out to play. A couple of slice forehands from both of those guys. Jamie McDonald-esque still. Bradley Fry gets the hold now for 2-all. Let's go back to the quad box if we can, Westhoff. Ugh, so sexy. Right now, your scoreboard, for those of you following at home, we'll just go from top to bottom. Keegan Smith, 6-for-3 on serve in the second set against USC's Daniel Kucherman. It's Riley Smith, 6-3, 3-2 up on serve in the second there for the Trojans. Destanich, 6-2, 3-4 on court 3. Bradley Fry, as we just saw, 6-3, 2-all. Ryder Jackson, 6-2, 3-2. Ludwig Vestrate, 6-3, 5-0 up now. Eric Hahn. So a lot of action to monitor right now in LA. That 15 to 20 minute Bruin push, right? We saw it in doubles. Haven't really seen it in singles yet, Chris.
No, and I feel like we keep getting so close. They've got the one from Keegan. They just need a little push. Sam Fate right now, 4-3, 30-15. He's got a shot to make one. He just needs, one other guy to make a little push with him somewhere in the middle. That whether it's Goldberg or whether it's Bellamy or whether it's Salakian, one of those guys has got to go with him to make a little effort to throw a couple matches into 3 sets.
Westhoff, let's hone in on court number 3 right now. Go to a solo court 3 feed, as it does look like Sam Fiat up a break, 30-15 up, 4-3 in his second set against Stefan Dostanic. Dostanic dominant yesterday against UNLV. He was off the court in like 40 minutes.
Wow.
Point. Really high quality from the former Zag. So now he's got 3 game points to consolidate the break here. And there's one at least.
Yep.
So he holds 4-5-3 here. See a big UCLA fist pump at number 5 as well. Believe Ryder Jackson, 3-all now with Matt Solokian in that second set. Again, Dostanic now. Love 15 down in his second set. Tightening up a little. Are we seeing the Bruins make their push? Maybe. Westhoff, let's go to court 6 if we can. I believe we have a match point for the Trojans. Ludwig Vestrate, 5-0, 40-15 up. So 3 match points at number 6 singles against Eric Hahn. See if he can't put point number 1 on the board for the Trojans. So one match point fought off, 40-30. Across the board right now, 3-all in the second set at 2. On serve everywhere else in the second set except that court 3, Chris, and here on court 6. So these next 10, 15 minutes decide a lot of this match. Ludwig Vestre takes advantage of his opportunity, earns a victory for the Trojans, 6-3, 6-love over Eric Hahn. 1-all now in this dual match in LA. Let's go back west off to court number 3. Stefan Dostanic now a couple of game point chances for 5-4. Actually looks like he just held 4-5-4. So let's go back to court number 5 now. Ryder Jackson, Matt Solokian. Looks like Solokian holds 4-4-3. So back on serve there if you're the Bruins. Let's go to court number 4 then, Westoff. This one I think we're going to get to hone in for a hot sec. 2-3 Bradley Fry just fought off a couple of break chances from Roscoe Bellamy in his last service game. Another early deficit for him here in this one. By the way, break point chance right now for Kucherman on court 1. Things tightening up a little bit, Chris. This is clearly the moment for UCLA. Now, what they do with it, we'll find out, but it seems like it's now or never.
Kucherman gets the break with Keegan putting a backhand into the net there. But frankly, that's not the one that UCLA needs to be worried about. They can afford to go 3 there if they have to. They just need to find a couple here in the middle. And it looks like Solokian, Fiat, maybe those are the guys.
We'll monitor that 30-all here as well. Again, Sam Fiat serving for the set, 5-4 up for UCLA at the number 3 position. Matt Solokian back up, but on serve for 3 over Ryder Jackson at 5. USC winning the first singles match of the duel, earning a 6-3, 6-love victory at number 6 from Ludwig Vestre. Closely keeping an eye on court 3, but I want to watch this 30-all point first.
As we watched all of the weekend play, wasn't Retke from Alabama, their number 5 player, also a Gonzaga transfer?
That sounds correct.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was, and it makes me want to say, so where were these, why weren't we hearing about Gonzaga last year?
No, seriously, where were the Zags indeed? So 2 break chances here for Bellamy. Fiat 2 points away at court 3. By the way, Solokian early lead as well. So now a deuce point here.
And a deuce point on 4.
Or deuce point is on 4. We're on 4, right? Yeah, deuce point on 4. 4 break chances for Solokian on 5. Yeah, this is the Trojans' moment, folks. We'll see this deuce point, then we'll head over to court 5. Can Fry escape another service game?
Yeah, I was thinking 3 out deuce here, and then they're also 30-all at 5-4 on 3. So a couple courts coming down to potential set points here.
UCLA gets the break at court number 4. So now 4-2 Bellamy Westhoff, let's go to court number 5 if we can. 3 more break chances right now for Matt Solokian. Another one fought off. Let's go to court 3 now. 40-30. Double set point on court 3. This is the moment, Bruins fans. This match is either going to go another 10 minutes, another hour or 10 minutes.
Just hit a ball just a bit long there on a 30-all point to give the double set point to UCLA here.
Ryder Jackson, 30-40, hits an ace down the tee. Solokian called the ball out. I'm going to be honest, Chris. The ball looked out from the stream. UCLA coach not happy as the chair umpire overrules the call. So, deuce point penalty for Solokian. So now game goes to Ryder Jackson 4-all. Believe Fiat just took the set here. No, excuse me. Deuce point here.
Deuce point here.
So I apologize. I was watching the feed on court 5. Interessante, Chris. Interessante.
Big point for UCLA here.
I can't believe that ball got overruled. Wow! Another overrule here on court 3. So here's what happened. Fiat calls the ball long. Immediate appeal. You hear the correction from the chair umpire. Chris, it's all happening right now. Back-to-back overrules on courts 3 and 5 go the way of the Trojans. Right when you think the UCLA Bruins have finally... Oh, that's gamesmanship at its finest, folks. Fiat sends 1 ball to the backhand corner, 1 ball to the forehand corner. Trojans stomp out a little Bruins momentum. Ouch, Chris. Ouch.
I mean, that's your kind of play right there, isn't it?
Chris, that's why we're doing this feed on a Monday night.
You love that.
Do you know last year I mean, you do know this because God knows I've told you enough times. I had my flight booked, ready to head to LA to watch a USC UCLA match in person. Was scheduled to arrive Wednesday. The match was a Thursday. Was going to go to Indian Wells that weekend to cover the college action too. All of it wiped away by the coronavirus. So it is great to get to see the Trojans and Bruins back on court. And yes, it is great to see things get a little heated.
Wide. What I want to know is how are you hearing that as well as this? Are you double earphoning it there, Gruskin?
So I have the streams on my laptop as well, and I keep the stream on so I can hear you and I can hear the stream. That ball, by the way, a little bit wide as well. Chris, I'm a man of many talents. I just don't like to broadcast them except for when I'm always broadcasting them.
Deep up B! It's so clear, man. It's so clear. I want that one.
Oh, chirp from the USC player to those of you who can hear the feed, quote, it's so clear how far out that ball was.
Come on, Matthew! Come on,
Folks, college tennis is back.
Go, Bruce! Deep up B! Let's go, Trojans! Here we go, Bruce!
So now I believe 30-all here in this Dostanich service game. Let's go to court 1 if we can quickly, Westhoff. Daniel Kucherman, we've gotten caught up in the action, but he's got a couple of set points here. 5-2, 40-15 up. By the way, Riley Smith, 5-3, 30 love up, so he's 2 points away. Deuce point in Jackson Solokian. It's witching hour, folks. All right, set goes to Kucherman. Westhoff, quickly, let's go to court 5 if we can. Deuce point there, Jackson Solokian. Let's see what happens. All right, sorry, Solokian, and Jackson, you are going to get cut off. Let's go to court 2 because we have a match point here. Smith and Goldberg. 40 love Smith Goldberg. According to the USC player in my ear, Stefan Dostanic has hit a groove on 3. Those are his exact words.
Huge overhead from Salakian.
But more importantly, if you're a Trojan fan, you get a second point on the board as Riley Smith 6'3", 6'3". Let's go back to court number... I'm just looking where we have action right now. Court
Probably
number 4,
3.
if we can, Westhoff. Let's go 3. 3, you're right. 3, Chris is correct. Although I think Dostanic just held. Yeah, so let's go to 4 if we can. Roscoe Bellamy 5-2 up 30-all. If you are the Bruin fans, you absolutely are looking to courts 4 and 5 right now. Matt Solokian up 5-4 on Ryder Jackson. Roscoe Bellamy up 5-2 on Bradley Fry. Yes, Keegan Smith split sets, but to stay alive, you need one of these players to win a second set because right now it's 2-1 Trojans. They get straight set wins at the 2 and 6 singles position. Dostanic was 5-4 down, currently 6-5. He leads in the second. Probably has to be one of these, Chris. I mean, it doesn't have to. It probably has to be, both of these, Chris.
Probably both. But yeah, between 3, 4, and 5, they've got to get 2 of them. So
yeah, you all see the same math that we do. By the way, they need to get number 1 as well. Daniel Kucherman back in that match.
Yeah, they just have to get 3 matches into a third set. So they've got 1 on court 1. They need 2 of these other 3. Bellamy clearly at a 5-2, 5-3 lead, has got to be. He's a must at this point.
Now 5-3, 15 love. With the big put away there. Again, we're watching courts 3 and 5. In fact, Westhoff, if we can quickly, let's go to the quad box. Dostanic, Fry, Jackson. We'll have to switch out West Strait if we can for the number 1 singles player, Daniel Kucherman. Those are your 4 matches left on court. Again, courts 1, 3, 4, and 5. The 4 matches left in play. USC takes first sets on courts 3, 4, and 5. They get a split at court 1. Right now, we're on serve on courts 3 and 5. Ryder Jackson of USC serving at 4-5, fought off 4 break points in his last service game, the last of which was an ace overruled. Called out that was overruled by the chair umpire that earned him a point penalty as well. Roscoe Bellamy serving to stay alive and earn another set on the board for UCLA at the number 4 position. Let's lock in right now, if we can, Westhoff, on that court 3, Dostanic Fiat, which is getting, Fiat's getting feisty. This match is getting a little heated. Couple overrules here as well. Everything you want as a college tennis fan. Big fist pump. You can hear the Trojan faithful teammates. He said, feels like this is it. It's a quote from the USC player to your ears. If you're the Bruins here, Loki and winning, that's awfully nice. So we're currently live on court 3, by the way. 30-all in the Bellamy Fry game, 30-all in the Jackson Solokian game. We'll switch over there momentarily. That's just money from Stefan Dostanic, though. Let's go to court 4 if we can, Westhoff. Bradley Fry, break point chances. 30-40 in this Roscoe Bellamy service game. Ryder Jackson now, by the way, 2 game points in his service game against Solokian. Break points trumping the points where you can hold, so we're going to stick here for a moment. We did say these past 15 minutes were going to make or break the Bruins. For the first 5, felt like they were made. A couple of overrules go against them. Is it going to break them? Here, Bradley Fry does indeed get the break.
Brutal
so here
double
we go.
fault.
Now let's go to court 3, Westhoff. Incredible point between Jackson and Fiat, or excuse me, Dostanic and Fiat. So now 6-5, 30 all there. Actually, let's go to court number 5 if we can, Westhoff, where we have a deuce point, set point.
Pleasant surprise.
There was some sort of pleasant surprise that I missed, according to the USC player. Always like a good surprise. So 4-5 deuce point here. Match point for Dostanic now, 2 of them. As he gets to 30-40, we'll go back there after this deuce point.
Just have Westhoff split them for us. 2 wide.
Split screens are overrated, Chris. I want to see this up and close. You're actually correct. Split screens aren't overrated. Westhoff, if you think you can do it, do it. Did Solokian make it?
He did. It's a set for Solokian.
So set for Solokian on 5. So they stay alive on 2 courts, Westhoff. Let's go split screen if we can, 3 and 4. Actually, just go to 3 right now. 3 right now. Just 3. Just 3. Big celebration from Stefan Dostanic. 3-1 now. Trojans lead. Straight set wins at the number 2, 3, and 6 position. Let's just go to court 4 right now. We only need to go 1 screen because, look, we're either going to be here for the next hour or we're going to be here for the next 10 minutes. It really comes down to this Bradley Fry versus Roscoe Bellamy matchup. Bradley Fry, 6-3, took the first set, just broke Bellamy to stay alive here in set number 2. He's serving now on the far side of your screen. Currently 4-5, 15 all now. Bruin faithful going to be wanting to look here. Now we are in third sets elsewhere. Daniel Kucherman 1-0 up in his set against Keegan Smith at the number 1 position. Solokian just earning the break over Ryder Jackson. We'll get back to that match when the third set begins, but all eyes here again. Bradley Fry, 6-3, 4-5, 15 all. See what these two are made of.
And this is the one we thought they had to have. Bellamy was up 5-2. Still fighting. 30 all. Like you said, we're two points from having another 45 minutes to play. Or we're 2 points from being knotted, 5 all and maybe only having 10 minutes to play.
No, this is what we call a Chipotle or Domino's sort of match. Bradley Fry wins this in straight sets. You have time to go to Chipotle. He drops this set, order the Domino's now. And we are 2 points away from Domino's, folks. Roscoe Bellamy, double set point here to earn a third split for the Bruins. Keep this match alive.
I feel like in the days of Grubhub and Uber Eats, you could do a little healthier than Domino's, Chris.
Look at this jawline, Chris. I can afford some Domino's.
There it is.
+1 forehand goes in the net. The Bruins stay alive. And so does our broadcast stream for just a little bit longer. Again, third set's going on right now. Let's go to court 1, where that Daniel Kucherman, Keegan Smith battle becomes that much more important. Smith right now 40-30 up. He took the first set 6. Kucherman took the second 6-2. Other match going on right now. Ryder Jackson, Matt Solokian, 6-2 first set for Jackson, 6-4 second set for Solokian. So identical score lines there. Then, of course, on court 4 was Bradley Fry, 6-3, Roscoe Bellamy, 6-4. That's all you can ask for if you're head coach Billy Martin.
big break there for Daniel Kucherman to take that 2-love lead in the third.
That's why he's the #1 ranked player in the country, folks. The Kookie Monster lost once last year during the dual match season. Was an away match indoors to Cannon Kingsley. Here has won 8 out of the last 10 games as he now takes a 2-love lead over Keegan Smith. If you're Coach Brett Macy, are you going to be upset with your team for not getting off in this one in 4-love, not taking the doubles point, not taking care of all of your first set victories? Yes. But you also feel pretty good knowing your opponents need to run an inside straight here to win their match in these third sets. Again, 3-1 Trojans, straight set wins at the 2, 3, and 6 positions. Chris, what do you got the first 2 hours of this match?
I think it would be it would be interesting. Heck, we're not done yet. We've got 3-set matches to go, but let's assume in your scenario that USC does pull it off. It would be interesting to hear how Coach Macy, what was that reaction with the team. He told us, even with the short-handed lineup from UCLA, that you never underestimate that rivalry match. And of course, the coach has to say that, so you never know. Hey, is that lip service? Does he really believe it? But you'd find out if you heard him afterwards. I honestly don't think he'll be disappointed. I don't think he'll get into the guys if that's the case, because it's been a very competitive match. But we're a long way from that here.
No, for sure. Although you do see Kucherman, he consolidates the break for 3-love. Let's go to court 4 right now. Or excuse me, court 5, Westhoff. Solo versus Jackson.
Right to Roscoe!
40-15 now for Jackson, excuse me. By the way, Bellamy, 3 early break points. So it does seem like in Roscoe Bellamy, Coach Martin has found one of his 6 moving forward. We know about Smith. We know about Nanda. Pretty sure about Ben Goldberg as well. But Zaraj, Baird, Hance, Bellamy, Solokian, Hahn. Pick out of a hat right now, Chris. They all sound pretty good options to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong. He's got a lot of options.
Let's just be clear. Chris was on mute, but he was laughing at that joke. You guys know how sensitive I am. But of course, again, we see here Solokian, Jackson in the early going. Going to keep an eye on that #1 singles match. Have seen a match get away from Keegan Smith before, and I don't think that's going to happen here because it's Trojans versus Bruins. But you know who you never want to get down 4-love to? Daniel freaking the Kookie Monster Kucherman. By the way, Kookie Monster, best nickname in college tennis?
Best that we've come up with, for sure.
Yeah, just like, what are we going to call him? What we just call Blumberg Goat? Like, we just like refer to him exclusively. Westhoff, if we can, let's go to court 1. The tennis right now between Daniel Kucherman and Keegan Smith really reaching the ideal sort of level. 30-all now here for Kucherman, who's just grinding, sending Smith corner to corner to corner. Of course, again, are the Trojans where they'd like to be? No, absolutely not. 3-love up here in the third against Smith. 3-1 up overall in the duel. Again, said it at the top when we were breaking everything down. The story of this 2021 season, and really the story in college tennis since the since the decision to turn to no parity. These teams aren't going to get to play as many matches as they used to, not get to just at least spend as much time as they do on court as usual. Everything's going to be so measured, so calculated. And you do wonder how that will roll in this year's results. Crazy forehand power there from Keegan Smith, draws the air. You hear a big shriek from Smith. So, yeah, he's not going away in this one. But, Chris, I mean, I know 3-1 is UCLA really. I mean, okay, one deuce point goes the other way. Perhaps we're talking about USC steamrolling this UCLA team and only dropping a doubles point. But, I mean, they are without more Bolus. Again, the story this weekend is everyone in college tennis looked beatable.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody that didn't look unbeatable, right? We have our top 2 by far as North Carolina, USC, both showing vulnerabilities this weekend, and both showing what's probably going to be the story of the season, and that is North Carolina, no Rinky Hijikata, USC, no more Bolus, right? I mean, that's likely to be the story every week at half of the schools. So get used to it, and yeah, that's going to make teams, beatable for sure.
And elsewhere, Wake Forest, no Argentinian or Italian freshman. Notice how I know the difference this time. No. Oh, big break for Daniel Kucherman. Big yell as well for Love Kookie Monster. But yeah, no Italian, no Argentinian, no Body, no Squire, no Botzer for them throughout this 2021 season moving forward. We broke that news earlier today here at Cracked Rackets. Our sources confirming and locked in Botzer out of the 2021 dual match season. Still retains his 2 years of eligibility, but will not be seen here in 2021. That's the story. I mean, by the way, Chris, by the way, this is just something, for those of you who watched Jimmy Neutron back in the day, Chris is like, I think my kids watched Jimmy Neutron back in the day. If you remember when Jimmy would have his brain blasts, I just had a brain blast, Chris. Did I not say on our GSP Fun Prop Bet show, would we have a Roy Smith situation? Now, Botzer is not a Roy Smith situation, but it's not a Roy Smith situation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if that was saying it's not quite a Roy Smith situation, or if you were taking pot shots at the Roy Smith attempt at going pro.
I was not. I'm still rooting for Roy.
Okay, all right, but yeah, I mean, it's you're halfway in between, and to your point, heck, who knows? Maybe there still will be one.
Oh. You know it's all working for you when the net court let's serve ace goes your way. Maybe it's not a dominoes night after all, Chris. Daniel Kucherman racing through this third set. He's won 10 out of the last 12 games. Now has a chance to take a 5-love lead here.
I think the Cookie Monster didn't like your choices, and he ordered Jimmy John's.
Cookie Monster does not eat Jimmy John's. You think someone that athletic goes to Jimmy John's? Oh.
It's certainly what he's thinking here. Freaky fashion. Come on.
Oh, why didn't you say that from the top? I don't know Jimmy John's well enough to keep in mind associate. That is freaky best and freaky good from Daniel Kucherman. 5-love lead. People say Chris Halioris isn't funny. They don't give him enough credit.
Well, who are these people besides you, Gruskin? Come on.
Yeah. Trevor, your daughter.
Oh gosh, I let you too close to my family.
Yeah. I just say a lot of people. Anyways, 5-love Kookie Monster. Let's go elsewhere. We'll come back here as things come to the end. But if you are a UCLA, and we'll go to court number 5 right now, if we can, stuff where Matt Solokian 1-2 with Ryder Jackson, 30 all here in the Jackson service game. By the way, Roscoe Bellamy to start 3 on court 4. I've seen Keegan Smith win 6 games in 15 minutes. We just lose 5 games in 10 minutes. So there's a lot that can still change here. But man, did not expect Daniel Kucherman to win 11 out of 13 games against Keegan Smith at any point of the match.
Yeah, given what he did in the second and there, would seem tough. But I've seen my share of 5-love third set leads go awry.
And I'll keep my eye on that match, Chris. You keep your eye on Fry versus Bellamy. Well, I hear on Jackson versus Solokian. Keegan's in grip and rip stage, folks. +1 backhand lands there, still 15-love. But do you hear that, Chris? I don't know why I sniffed, and then I asked if you heard something. That was really weird.
I'm not sure, but yeah, the two senses didn't correlate for me.
Hey, it's day 4. It's hour 30.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Connor Rapp. I do what I can with the Brad Gilbert nicknames. It's very kind of you to say. I imagine when you win matches, you say that's a wrap. Never heard that. Connor, quiet down. We can hear your laughter through the stream. So here, again, Jackson held. Now love 15, he leads. 30-15 for Smith on court 1.
Jin with 2 comments out there for us. One was Jimmy John's is a very healthy meal. The other was a question. Is that Steve Bellamy's son? Indeed it is. Older brother Lucas Bellamy played for UCLA as well. Both sons of Steve Bellamy, Jin.
So he's not Robert Bellamy, the one that went to USC. That's not brothers.
I do not know. He does have an older brother, Robert. So that is the one that went to USC. And Lucas, his other older brother, played for UCLA, and they were on the same team together. I want to say it was last year, definitely 2 years ago.
So I wasn't crazy there.
And Rob did play at USC. Roscoe, I think there was a pretty decent injury for him. He was one of the highly touted juniors in the U.S. I know made many, between Orange Bowl, Eddie Herr, different things like that. He was in finals, semifinals.
I always wonder sometimes, and I'm watching this. Let's go to court 1 if we can, Westhoff. Keegan Smith. 3 game points now. Excuse me, 2 game points. You might have just got ruled. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but 40-30 here. Sometimes you watch some of these college matches, Chris, and you're just like, yeah, these are pros. And this has been one of those matches. All right, Keegan gets on the board. So Kookie Monster, chance number 1 of 2 chances to serve out this match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for me to see. I think that's probably a path that, Kucherman will, and probably Keegan Smith as well, try to pursue post-college. We got to see a fair amount of Kucherman playing overseas in the future circuit this summer. I, in particular, got to see a fair amount of in just following him as he was playing in many of the same tournaments of some of the guys I follow. And, you know I even talked to Coach Macy saying, golly, I'm seeing these guys winning the futures with less talent than Daniel's got, but he's not coming through. And he said, yeah, you can't underestimate the demands of him. He was still going to school full time while traveling, trying to get his schoolwork done, taking tests, turning papers in, getting out there to play matches. Not easy. So, it'd be a lot more fun to watch him when he can focus solely on the tennis game.
Let Corden, his first service point, still wins the point with another beautiful topspin lob. But if you're Keegan Smith, that's a point you want back. Another easy forehand error for Smith. So now Kucherman, the Kookie Monster, 2 points away. This is
those
when
are balls you can't give Kucherman. I mean, that was at the low point of the net, right in the middle.
This is when DeQuist Quinta Camwa starts to get fired up. Well, looking for Coach Quinta.
Where is Coach Quinta?
It's by DeCamwa. Wait over there. Oh. No freaking way. Oh.
Yeah. If you're Keegan Smith, you have to ask, how many times do I have to put the ball away before I win the point?
If you're Keegan Smith, you're like, look, if I wasn't down 5-1 30 love, I'm calling that ball out. But I'm down 5-1 30 love, so I'm going to try and hit a tweener instead.
Okay. 40 love. This is an absolute rip right here, no doubt.
Winner or an error, for sure.
Yeah,
Keegan's
going as hard as he possibly can. Oh, and on a second serve, he's going to destroy the ball.
Well, now I think he plays more responsibly. Now I think he's like, shoot, I should probably win this point. Muted celebration from the Trojans as the Smith return sails long. But in the end, Daniel Kucherman, 4-6, 6-2, 6 victory. He gives the Trojans point number 4 and secures their spot in the final 8 of the national indoor event. That'll do it for this ITA kickoff weekend. A quick recap of how we got there, where we're going next. Your 8 qualifiers for the national indoors going to be the USC Trojans, the North Carolina Tar Heels, the TCU Horned Frogs. You have, and this is where things get tricky, folks, the Virginia Cavaliers. You have the Tennessee Volunteers. You have either Baylor or Texas A&M. You've got Illinois, your host school, and I'm missing one. Let me think hard. Chris, don't say it. Come on. I'm going across the country. Oh, and of course, you have the Longhorns of Texas. So it's going to be at least 3 Texas schools. I'm going to do that more quickly for you now that I have them all in my head. 3 Texas schools, either Baylor and Texas A&M plus Texas TCU. You've also got Tennessee. You've got Virginia. You've got USC. You've got UNC. And you've got Illinois. Chris, of course, we still don't know exactly how things are going to break down with that Baylor A&M situation, but looking back on the kickoff weekend, your quick summary, of course, we will save the big summary for our Great Shot podcast that me, you, and Maddie have planned for tomorrow night.
I mean, the quick summary is, yeah, I loved this format, some more competitive matches where we actually had chances to see competitive first round 1 seed matches. Again, we probably won't get it again. We'll get back in normal years to the field of 60 teams, 15 pods instead of 7. But I loved it. I loved seeing those good early matches. I love seeing the highly competitive regions and the fact that probably there were more questionable picks for who, we had 3 regions between you, Maddie, and I, where we made different picks, and that's 3 out of 7, 37, or whatever, a good percentage of the field. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with all these teams at indoors.
No, absolutely. Again, we are so looking forward to the action kicking off in Champaign. We will talk about everything on our Great Shot podcast later in the week. Of course, we have to give a couple of huge shout outs to end our broadcast. A huge shout out to the people at NC State, USC, Michigan, and Ohio State who allowed us to use their broadcast to make this possible. Again, it's pulling teeth sometimes to try to do something like this, but all of them were so in on the idea, so helpful in helping us make all of this happen. So a huge shout out to all of them. A huge my-sized ego huge shout out to super producer Daniel Westoff, who, again, you go to him, you say, I have a crazy idea. Do you think he happen? And he goes, give me 3 days and I will. That's what we do here at Cracked Rackets. It all happens because he's pushing the 1s and 2s. Shout out to you, Westoff. Shout out to you, Chris Halliorson. I'll let you speak here before we wrap things up. But again, each and every hour of this broadcast, you're going to see 2 people on the call at least. You're going to see me and you're going to see you, Chris. So thank you for sticking with us. There's no one I would rather do this list with. And lastly, a huge thank you to all of you who joined us throughout the broadcast. The reason we do something like this, because we know how great the college tennis community is. We know how many people feel like we do about this sport. Anything we can help do to grow our beloved college tennis, we will attempt to do. And when all of you give us the reception that you have, it means the world to us. So sincerely, on behalf of all of us here at Cracked Rackets, thank you so much for your support. Shout out to all of you at the ITA. I realize I missed that one. Without them, none of this happens either. With all of that in mind, Chris, you get the final word. Last thoughts on this kickoff weekend?
Hey, my last thoughts, I have to echo everything you said. You and I are just the ugly faces made for radio that got to do this. But hats off. Got to see my wonderful COVID hair. Hats off to Daniel Westoff. He did all the real work here behind the scenes. Thank you, Stoff. Thanks to the folks at the ITA for the schools. Unbelievable, the fact that we could get to pull this off. Hopefully the big success here will get some of the schools that had problems, maybe getting us to broadcast their event, to go, wow, that's some great advertising for us. We need to do that. We would love to see that. But thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is just fun for us. Heck, we're having a blast. So glad you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for all the feedback. We love hearing the feedback. Gruskin's head big enough. Don't feel praise him, but I like it. So thank you, and we'll look forward to doing it some more.
I'm fighting every instinct in my body to tell you that and we both know this to be true, that I don't have a face for radio. I have a face for movies. But I'm not going to say that because you're right. My ego is big enough right now. Nevertheless, yes, as you point out, a shout out to everyone who helped make that possible. And with that in mind, for the wonderful Chris Halliorson, our super producer, Daniel Westoff, all of you who joined us on the stream and all of us here at Cracked Rackets, I am your host, Gruskin. You have been watching our Redzone coverage of the 2021 ITA Kickoff Weekend. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next time. Thanks, everyone.
The man that sings tries it. The amazing Mr. Please himself.